Hey everybody, this is Sam Ballard from the RPM Podcast. Planning an event and looking for a great time? Go no further than RC2U Racing for all your portable family entertainment. RC2U turns any occasion into a competition. Check them out online at rc2uracing.com.
And here we are again, episode 190 of the RPM Podcast. It is May 3rd, 2021 at 7:28 p.m. on a Monday night. I'm Scott Riggleman in Manchester, New Jersey, the host of the RPM Podcast. My brother Tim Riggleman, America's Spotter, is up in Farmdale, New Jersey. Tim, how are you?
I'm good, ready to go.
We also have Josh Matthews. He is the owner and operator of the podcast. Josh is down in Waretown, New Jersey. Josh, how are you?
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll skip how you're doing. We're just glad you're here tonight with us to help us with the podcast.
I'll do what I can.
Yeah, and pretty much this is going to turn into our a co-host with us to help us out with the Pennsylvania stuff. Evergreen kicked off their season this weekend on Sunday. It's basically, I call it their open house because they're opening up to a brand new paved racetrack, which is super, super cool. And to help us call the action of what happened at Evergreen is Larry Spencer III. Larry, how are you?
Awesome, Scott. Thank you guys for having me on. It's always a good time when I come on, and I'm really happy that Tim messaged me earlier, and I was psyched when I got that message because absolutely come on and talk to you guys. It's been a while.
Yeah, we know you go to a lot of the tracks in Pennsylvania, mainly Mahoney Valley and Evergreen. So yeah, when they have a good show like that and a big show like that, and you can attend those shows, just let us know. And we will love to have you on because we call it boots on the ground. Me and my brother were both at Wall Stadium. I was in the pit side. My brother was in the grandstand. So naturally, we had boots on the ground at Wall Stadium. And by you being at Evergreen, you're our boots on the ground up there. So we really appreciate you coming on with us.
Does it have to be boots? Can it be racing shoes on the ground?
Yeah, racing shoes on the ground, whatever you want to call it. Racing boots.
Listen,
So
I'll tell you,
today is we're going to cover Evergreen. Larry's going to stay on for the first half of the show with us, and we're going to cover everything that happened at Evergreen. Then we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to go into Wall Stadium. We're going to do all the Wall Stadium stuff in the second half of the show. But I do have a little bit of podcast news, which is great news for us, and it really works out good, and it comes out a good time when we need a little bit of support. We raced with Nick Catone over at Wall Stadium. He races in the factory stock division. Nick owns an MMA gym, a big gym facility over in Bricktown. It's located at 781 Brick Boulevard in Brick, New Jersey. Nick is a former MMA fighter. He's now training fighters, and he has a full gym there. And he came over. He approached me at the racetrack Saturday. He says he really enjoys the podcast, and he wants to become a sponsor of ours on the show. So we're welcoming Nick Catone MMA gym. They do boxing there, jiu-jitsu, cardio, kickboxing. That's what my brother's into. My brother's really into cardio, kickboxing, Muay Thai, and MMA and more. Nick's a great guy. He races the 98 factory stock with us at Wall Stadium. He's going to be a big part of the show. This all just happened, so we don't have a commercial for him yet, but Eric Brennan's going to work on that for us and get us a commercial made for him and everything. So if you see Nick, just tell him thank you and that you heard about his gym through our podcast. We really appreciate the help. It helps Josh pay for a lot of the electronics down there, and all the subscriptions to all these podcast hosting places and stuff like that. We really appreciate Nick's help. All right. With that being said,
Scott,
we're going to go on to Evergreen.
Scott, his gym, is it short for Jimmy or James?
What's that, Jim?
Okay, I'm done for the night. All right, moving on.
It's really a training center. It's more than just a gym.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it helps me get rid of this beer gut, I mean, I'm all for it.
and come on, it's perfect. It goes hand in hand, MMA and racing. I mean,
Short
listen,
track
you
racing,
go down,
yeah.
You go down and see Nick. Take a couple classes.
I race with Nick, and if Nick spins me out, I'm actually going to go down to Nick and apologize to him for being in as well.
Oh, yeah, you have, sorry, man. Shake his hand, be like, listen, dude, I'll get out of your way next time, man.
I'm so sorry I got out of your way, Nick. I'll definitely get out of your way next time. Bye.
All right, so moving on from that. I'm sorry. I'm still laughing.
Okay, yeah. So Evergreen had their opening night. It was their first points races of the season. They raced on Sunday. Wall Stadium races on Saturday night. Evergreen's one of the smarter tracks in the country. They have a neighboring Mahoney Valley Speedway, which is what do you say, about 20, 25 minutes away from Evergreen, Larry?
Yeah, it's not very far at all. Actually, if you get on 81 South from Evergreen, I think it's like 3 exits before you're at the 309 exit for Mahoney. So it's not far at all.
Wow.
Right. So what they do is, because Mahoney Valley traditionally has been racing for many, many years, and they've always had Saturday night. So instead of racing on the same night as a neighboring track 20, 25 minutes away, they race on Sundays early in the season. They also race on Friday nights. They switch it up. They run Sundays in the spring and the fall when it's cooler out, and then they'll switch to Friday nights because it's too hot to race on Sundays. So they do that so they don't race on the same day as Mahoney Valley. So they did race this Sunday. I watched a lot of live feed from Facebook, Larry, and it looked like a beautiful day up there. Blue skies, sun was shining. Was it cool up there, or was it hot, or what was it like there?
It was cool in the morning when we were getting all the cars over to the track, because our shop's only like a mile and a half from the track. So Sunday morning, we just start dragging cars over. So it was you needed your sweatshirt and shorts in the morning, but by the time practice started at 12:30, that sun was beating down and it was hot. It was like sunburn hot.
Really?
So it was, yeah. Oh yeah. But the weather like you said, the weather could not have been nicer. Like we said, before the show started, that if the promoter up there, Jason Makarevich, had a dream Saturday night about the perfect day, that was yesterday. The pits were filled. The grandstands were filled. I mean, Scott, you've been there. Tim, you've been there for King of the Mountain and the big shows. It looked like a King of the Mountain weekend. The parking lot was full. Like I said, the stands, they had a funnel cake stand. They had one of those like carpet ride slide type deals for the kids.
Saw that.
One of those
Josh,
bounce houses.
about the Ferris wheels at the big tracks. While watching this video, when the cars would come out of turn 4, you could clearly see in the back one of those big, like he said, the big slides that you go down in, like the brown bags or whatever. And you see at the fair. I thought that was cool that they bought a little outside entertainment.
That's so awesome. That is really cool.
Yes. Sadly, none of our team drivers won, because that was going to be the celebration. It was right from Victory Lane. We're running right down that slide, head first, fire suit and all. But maybe next time they have it, we'll have a little bit better luck and have some fun up there. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Scott, the day couldn't have gone any smoother. I think I was talking to they kind of, I don't want to say new blood, but a couple new faces. The normal race director was involved in a highway accident. He was working, long story short, he's a PennDOT worker, was working on the side of the road early last week, Monday or Tuesday or so, and got hit by an oversized load. He was in the hospital. He's a lot of broken bones, a lot of bruises, but he's one tough old SOB, Tommy Vitale. He's been around racing a long, long time. He used to crew for Jim Lamoureux in a late model and stuff for years, and he used to help when Jim ran the ARCA car for James Hilton years ago. He was part of that team. So Tommy's been around racing a long time, and it's real unfortunate what happened to him. But I don't want to say he's gonna be all right, because he's got a long road ahead of him, but he's gonna make it. And he's on Facebook again. He's able to call, use his phone and stuff. So he's doing much better than he was this time last week, because like I said, it was pretty scary getting that information that the race director got hit by a shed 6 days before opening day. So
do you know if he was airlifted or anything, or was he moved by ambulance, or?
And I'm pretty sure ambulance. From what I understand, he was coherent and talking to the state troopers like right after it happened. That's like when I say one tough SOB, like having a conversation with the cop as it just happened, as most of the bones in his body are broken. Like just incredible stuff, dude. And we're all real lucky, because I mean, last year was Tommy's first year as race director, and he absolutely, to a man, did an excellent job, fair across the board. And really, before the season started, he was contemplating not even coming back. And we had a poll on the Evergreen Facebook on their Facebook page of, would you like to see Tommy Vitale back as race director? And I want to say there was maybe, we'll say 200 votes. I think 194 of them said yes. So right across the board, he's been equal level, fair with everybody. And hopefully we see him back at the track here in the next couple weeks or months or so. But like I said, he's got a long road ahead of him. But yesterday they had to, call an audible, and long-time sport mod competitor, modified car Bobby Richards was the race director, and Brian Soames.
Wow.
And,
we know Bobby. Bobby raced at Wall Stadium for many, many years.
Bobby is one of the Bobby is so unique, you can't even really describe him.
Yeah,
He's
very outspoken. Very outspoken. He's a New Yorker. He's from Staten Island. He's a New Yorker.
And he honestly, so yesterday, Scott, he handled the day perfectly. Being put into the flames, first race's race director. He had Brian Soames up there helping him race direct. I don't know exactly what Brian's, I don't know exactly how they split it up, who was the actual race director for the afternoon, but there was nobody was up, complaining about anything, about any kind of calls. And I talked to Brian after the races, and he said there was only 2 cars that had to get towed off. They had to tow 2 cars the entire afternoon, and that was it.
That's great. Yeah, no, we're friends with Bobby Richards. I actually do some towing for Bobby. Bobby raced at Wall Stadium many years, and then he did start racing up in Evergreen, and he fell in love with the area. He actually bought a house not too far from the Speedway, and he lived in Millstone, New Jersey, down by us, and then he moved after he sold his trucking company. He kind of retired and moved up, and he lives like right around the corner from the track. So I think Bobby would be a great addition to the staff at Evergreen Speedway.
And he is. He's a ball buster, putting it blunt, but he's a good dude. He's got a good heart, and he's a racer. He's a racer to the core, no doubt about it.
Right. And he's a firm guy. Like, you're not going to push him around. Because you're yelling at him, he's not going to change his call that he thought was the right call. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to take no grief from nobody either, which you need to have when you're a race director. That's the toughest job in motorsports.
Oh, bar none.
And thankless.
Yeah, and thankless. Yeah.
All right.
I'm just pulling up the.
Oh yeah. So how many divisions did you guys run?
There was Bandoleros, Legends, Factory Stock, Modified, 4-cylinders, and the Street Stock. So there was 6 classes. And honestly, those Sunday afternoon shows at Evergreen could get long. There was a couple of races last year when I was announcing up there with Ted that I'd get there at 9 in the morning. I believe at 9 o'clock at night. I think the final checkered flag flew yesterday, just before 6 o'clock, and heat races started at 2. So a six division show got done in 4 hours.
That he was pulling out of there like 6:15, which is pretty amazing for a Sunday show up there with that much racing going on. Plus, you got to remember too, the modified race was 75 laps long.
75.
So that's a long.
Yeah, 75 lapper.
All right, so I got the schedule here. Practice started at 12:30 p.m. Each division had 2 rounds: Legends, Bandoleros, Factory Stocks, Tour Modifieds, 4-cylinders, and Street Stocks. Then, like Larry just said, at 2 o'clock the heat started. The Bandoleros had a 6-lap heat race. Legends had 8-lap heat races. Factory Stocks had an 8-lap heat race. Tour Modifieds had 10 laps. 4-cylinders had 8 laps. Street Stock had 8-lap heat races. Larry, do you know if any division had so many cars where they sent cars home, or did everybody get to race on Sunday? We like when everybody gets to start and race.
And that's exactly what happened on yesterday. Everybody got to race. There was, I want to say, 22 Street Stocks. So they just started them all. They started
there we
all
go,
of them.
Josh. People are listening to us. They started them all.
But Scott, it was that number again, 22.
Yeah. Yep. It's when you get to 23, 24, do we send 4 home, or do we let 4 extra race? 2 you let them race. Then you get over 23, 24, you got to start thinking about it. But I think Evergreen can handle 24, 25, 26 cars, no problems.
Oh, I mean, how many do we have in our Enduros?
Yeah.
It can do it.
There was 71 4-cylinders in the Enduro last month, or in March, at Evergreen. So we've seen it. It's certainly doable. But yeah, anyway, everybody that showed up got to race, and the car counts were pretty good. Factory Stocks only had 9, which was the lightest of any of the divisions. But we've had weeks, in the past couple years where it's been just a handful. So like 9 isn't aesthetically pleasing. You want to see. You want to see the double digits.
It's showing improvement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And like I said, 22 Street Stocks, full field. I want to say 20 Modifieds, 16 4-cylinders. So there was a good. And the Legend cars had, I don't think quite 20, but I don't think they were too far off. Maybe 18 or so. So there's a lot of cars in the pits. The pits were pretty full. Like I said, the only way to the easiest way to describe it to you guys was it looked like a King of the Mountain, King of the Green show with how many people that were there and people in the stands. And there was really not much commotion. Everybody had a good day. Everybody was smiling, left smiling, and nothing really tore up. There wasn't that real big accident where the cars jumped on opening night, which we've seen in years past. No matter where you go, I always say opening night is by far the roughest night of the year because everybody's got that itch.
We had a tough opening night at Wall Stadium to the point where we were low on cars this week as well. Before we get into the features, because that's what we're getting into next, the big announcement and the big news came April 1st. You know, of course, they had the April Fool's joke where they said they were making the track dirt, and some people really believed them because there was pavement equipment on there ripping the pavement off the track. So a lot of people thought maybe they were really putting dirt down, but that wasn't the case. The case was they were repaving the track that it desperately needed it. And I give Jason, the guy that runs the track, so much credit right now. I mean, after a bad pandemic, and we're still a little in the pandemic, even though we're starting to come out of it, to have the guts to spend that type of money to repave a track, because the price of materials and anything right now are through the roof. Lumber, asphalt, you just try to buy anything right now, metal, anything's through the roof. For him to take on the money of laying out to pave a racetrack at this time right now took a lot of guts. But let's face it, the track needed it, and it's going to help them in the long run. I think that was part of the reason the place was so packed, other than the nice weather. Most people were there out of curiosity to see how the new asphalt was. Larry, what was the take on the new asphalt up there? How did the competitors like it?
Myself, run the 4-cylinder yesterday. I can only describe it as I started running enduros there when I was 14 in 2007, and I never left. So I have, probably tens of thousands of laps, and it was like a completely different track, Scott. It was unbelievable how much faster and how much grip. Now, the repave itself, the last time the track was fully repaved was 1987. Wow. So we're talking 40-year-old asphalt almost?
That's the year I graduated 8th grade.
Yeah, so... And now you got those beautiful glasses I'm looking at right now. So I tell you, that's been a while ago. You're telling me.
A week. I went to the eye doctors last week. I got a set of bifocals on the way. So.
But anyway, they completely repaved the front straightaway. They completely repaved like the racing grooves in turn 1 and 2. So like the third lane is still the old asphalt, and the backstretch is completely redone from guardrail to infield. And I guess when they were doing the repave, when they were laying everything out, they realized that the backstretch kind of sunk down a little bit. So as they were repaving it, they kind of put, I don't want to say banking, but they kind of made it more like there's a little bit of a slope now coming out of 2. Right. But the turn 3 and 4 asphalt they didn't touch that because that was done, I want to say maybe 10 years ago. So it's pretty fresh, that asphalt in 3 and 4. So you could come down front, you come out of turn 4, just wide open down the front stretch, drive it into turn 1 like you got 8 tires. You come down that back stretch. If you weren't getting into turn 3, every class yesterday, if somebody overdrove turn 3, you knew it because they were washing almost right up into the wall. That's where all the passing was happening yesterday, was on the old asphalt, because guys go through 1 and 2 on that new asphalt, think they're He-Man, go down to turn 3, nothing's sticking. You're washing right up the track. You shoot underneath that guy, you get the spot. So
now, how is the transition from the new asphalt to the old asphalt? Can you feel a seam in the track when you cross over or anything?
Seamless. No. I was expecting, the same thing when I seen that in turn 3 and 4. I'm like, there's gonna be some kind of dip, some kind of hump, something. Like he said, no, not at all. They did an absolute bang up job on that place. It was.
Now that it's all said and done, would you wish they would have paved the whole track, or are you fine with them leaving that set of turns unpaved?
I honestly, it adds a different element to, I think if it was all the way paved, I don't know how much passing would have been happening yet because of the new asphalt. Because it was, most of the classes were, the only time you were passing somebody was coming off the corner. If you got a run on somebody coming out of 2, coming out of 4, that's when you were doing the passing. Through the corner, there was really not much of an outside groove left. Outside groove established yet through the corners. So it makes it unique. It makes it not to the point where like Darlington unique with 2 completely different, set of corners, but it adds a different element to the racing. And I think new asphalt always takes, years to get the rubber laid down to make it equal with the 2 grooves. I think by keeping that old asphalt in turn 3 and 4, it made the racing a little bit better because, like I said, guys couldn't just barrel it in there. in a turn 3. I kind of had to take it easy going through there.
Now, it was a hot, sunny day, and the sun was beating down on this new asphalt. How did the new asphalt hold up? Did it hold up okay?
It held up. I mean, there was no chunking. There was no, no parts of it came up, nothing like that. The one thing I did notice, I know I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but I did notice during the modified feature, we were sitting on the pit side right where you exit to go out onto the track. There's those grandstands right there. There was a lot of rubber coming from the tires, like hitting you in the chest, landing in your lap, all that stuff. So it seemed like the tires were not coming apart, but there was definitely more marbles being left on the track and, leaving the tires than they had on the old asphalt. So it was definitely you were definitely using up more tire than you did on the old asphalt. But the track itself, immaculate shape. And like I said, nobody even busted a radiator to put water on it. Nothing. Like it was as good as it was before we even went out there and started.
I just like seeing that because when you see the track making an investment like that, the track's going to be around for a while. They're not trying to squeak one more year out of it to make money by not paving it. They paved it. They want to be there for a while. So, long live Evergreen. It's a great short track in the Northeast. It's got a lot of history. I'm so glad that they're going to be sticking around for a while.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to speak out of school or break any news, but Jason's going to be around the place for a while. That's what I heard, and that's what the word on the street is. So take that for what you will, but he's going to be around for a while at the facility. So that's why.
The guy's showing me he's a tough businessman because he's got dealt the worst hand of timing to take over a race.
No question.
I mean, between rainouts when he first took it over, the one week he got canceled out because there was some guy running around the woods saying he's going to kill the president or something like that, and they couldn't race because there was a fugitive running around out there. He's been battling. He's been battling hard. And the guy has no quit in him. I've never met him. I don't know what he looks like or anything, but I can tell just from a distance he's not a quitter. He's all in, which is great. That's what you need to be in racing. You can't worry about every penny. You got to be in it for the love of it.
And he's a racer, Scott. He's a former factory stock guy. He had a late model for a while, so he was on the track before he was off the track being the promoter. He was on the track turning laps. So To me, that's the best kind of promoter to have, is somebody that could sympathize with the racer, understand what it takes for the guys to get there, and kind of give back to him when he can. And I don't know what the rest of the payouts look like for the rest of the divisions, but I finished 10th in the 4-cylinder yesterday, got $80. I finished third. I finished third at Clinton County on the dirt last weekend. My first time ever out there. Third place paid $65.
I'll tell you what, I finished opening night at Wall. I finished 6th and I got $80. So you did better finishing 10th in a 4-cylinder division.
So all I hear, Scott, is that you need a 4-cylinder for Evergreen now.
You know what
you're saying? That's where the money's at.
4-cylinder direction. I'm too old of a dog to learn new tricks. I know how to work on the cars I have. I know nothing about a 4-cylinder car. All right, so we're going to move into the feature events right now. Let me see here. They did something unique that Larry talked about before the show started. They ran 3 features before intermission, which is cool. If you've got divisions that have a lower car count, let them run real quick. Get them over with. This way they can pack up and enjoy the rest of the races, or they can start heading home. So that's what they did. They ran the Bandoleros first, the Legends second, and the Factory Stocks third. I know you were racing, Larry. Were you able to watch any of these events?
Yeah, I didn't catch much of the Bandoleros or the Legends, but I did watch the Factory Stocks because I had my eye on the field. Scott Adams' daughter, Mackenzie, who is my wife, Mackenzie's mother and my wife are first cousins, so she's related to us. And it was her first ever factory stock race, so I was glued into the factory stock.
Like a third generation Camaro or something, wasn't she?
Yeah, that was her dad Scott's old factory stock that he ran in 2008, 2007, 2008, and he sold the car to Frank Katona probably 2012 or so, and he bought it back at the end of last year for her.
Cool.
So it's the same car that he won, I don't know, 10 races with or so, and finished second in points in 2008. So it's a sentimental value car, and it certainly doesn't run like the Monte Carlos do, but give it a little bit of time. And like I said, back in the day, Scott really had that thing working. So I think it's just a matter of time, and he'll be working again. She had some issues yesterday. I guess that their motor isn't done. So they had to borrow a motor, and it ran hot a little bit. So she pulled off in the infield. Didn't want to blow up the borrowed motor,
No, you don't want to do that. Yeah, we saw. Josh, you have the results for the Evergreen Factory stock. Do you want to do the Bandolero results real quick?
Yeah, sure. Let me. Okay, I was looking at the wrong one. All right, so the Bandolero results. We had 10 cars.
Oh wow, that's good for the Bandoleros in that area.
Yeah. The winner was Caitlin Stradley, followed by Caden Rogers, Rodney Dowlis Jr., Justin Teresak. I know I butchered that. Chevy Rowley, Wyatt Fink, Isaiah Anderson, Mike Sinagra, Nick Hodge, and Cody Quagliato.
Okay, go ahead and do the legend cars too. I know the legend cars are big in that area on dirt. They have that Central PA Legend Car Series, and they run on dirt. And I used to watch those guys at Big Diamond, and they put on a heck of a show. And now they're starting to do a little asphalt racing too at Evergreen, which is pretty cool. And I'm sure they're really appreciative of the new pavement, because I know when I used to watch the legend cars up there on the rough track, man, those guys used to get beat up in those cars hitting the bumps and stuff. So they're probably real happy with the new asphalt.
It used to the legend cars down the front stretch look like Robbie Gordon in the Baja 1000. I mean, you hit that bump going into turn one, all four wheels be off the ground and stuff. So it was, yeah, I'm sure, like you said, more than anybody out there, those guys appreciated that new asphalt, I'm sure.
All right, go ahead, Josh. Here's what the top 10 of the factory stock with the legend car guys.
Legends. Okay. So there were 13 cars for the Legends. They ran a 20-lap feature. Nick Morabito got the win, followed by Kevin Nowak, Alec Andrix, Riley O'Keefe, Mike Waddell, Austin Bellamare, Eugene Drew, James Anderson, Patrick Verwees, Chris Sinatro, Connor Waddell, Charlie Hodge, and Ed Trump. So, Trump finished last.
I noticed at Wall Stadium, Larry, that the legend cars are now running on Hoosier tires. I'm pretty sure that's a nationwide thing through Inex. Were they running the Hoosier tires up at Evergreen?
Let me tell you about this. Yes, the answer is yes on the Hoosiers. But Scott, you should have seen this one guy set up. He had a newer Ford pickup truck, right? He had the legend car up in the back of it, like kind of on a ramp with the tailgate down, strapped down. From the trailer, from the tow hitch, he had his two spare tires mounted right there. Right, like, underneath the license plate deal. So he had, but yeah, they were Hoosiers, and like I said, this guy's setup was just, I've never seen anything like it.
So he made a ramp out of a pickup.
That's it, exactly, and it fit in. And that legend car, I mean, I don't think there was 6 inches on the front or the back worth of spare room, but he fit that on there. I didn't even get the guy's car number. That was just one of the coolest things I seen yesterday. I said, now if I had a legend car, that's how you got to do it.
Okay, I like it. Get a long bed, you'll be all right.
All right, and then Josh, moving into, I know, I think Larry said they had 9 cars, but moving into my favorite division, the factory stock division. Go ahead and give us the final results on those guys.
I'm showing 8 went out for the feature. Scott Sipe, I haven't heard that name in a while, back from the Enduro.
He's a buddy of ours through the Enduro racing. We race with him in the Enduros, Josh. He's a great guy to race with.
Yeah, no, I have a lot of fun racing with him. Then Mo Hunsinger, Blaine Barry, Brandon Cook, Ty Huntsberger, Kenzie Adams, Nate Marsico, and Clint Halstead are your top 8.
Josh, we actually know Clint Halstead too. His brother Chris Halstead raced at Wall Stadium for many years. Clint actually lives right in Beechwood.
Okay.
He's been actually calling me for a couple of years. He's been building that car now for a couple of years, trying to get it ready for Evergreen, and I've been helping him along with it a little bit, just through phone conversation. And I have left him a couple parts in my driveway for him to come pick up.
Okay.
And I'm glad to finally see him get the car done and get up there. I know he got in a little bit of a tangle because I seen pictures of it with the front bumper ripped right off it and the nose piece and the radiator pushed in. So he got in a little bit of a wreck up there. But he's a great guy. And for some reason, rather than run Wall Stadium, he chose to go up to Evergreen and race with the factory stocks up there. So it's cool to see him making the journey, the 3-hour ride up there to race with those guys.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Josh.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I mean, if something spoke to him about that, about their factory stocks, that's what he wanted to do. Yeah, I mean, good for him. I mean, yeah, it's a bit of a haul, but it's great that Evergreen's, got that draw for that distance.
Yeah. Larry,
I was going to say about Scott Sipe. You mentioned that you know Scott a long time, and just a genuinely really really good dude. I'm pretty sure yesterday was his first ever factory stock win. I know he's won enduros and stuff in the past, but yeah, and that factory stock feature was what I mean. They were going at it. I mean, for the longest time, Sipe was running second behind Mo Hunsinger, who ended up finishing second, and Mo was parked right next to us, and he said his car just got real tight as the run went on, and it seemed like that was pretty consistent across the board for all the classes. The cars were just pushing real bad as the tires got hot, as they wore out on that old asphalt in turn 3 and 4. Like I said, you run those cars in there like you were He-Man. If tire wasn't there, they just started pushing and the handling went away. And that's what happened to Hunsinger with, I want to say, 3 laps to go. Sipe ended up getting around him, just riding on his bumper the whole time, waiting for his right move. And like you said, Sipe, a long-time enduro guy, he knows how to navigate the traffic and get around some cars when the guy in front of him not even made a mistake. Just when the car went away, Scott had a little bit left in the tank, shot underneath him coming out of turn 4, and got him, I think, coming to 2 to go or so. So it was a good race for the factory stocks. Like I said, with the limited car count, they were really racy yesterday.
That's awesome.
Okay, cool. So congratulations to Scott Sipe on his win in the factory stock division. That moves us to intermission. Larry, usually at intermission, we like to talk a little bit about the concession stand. Did you make it over there at all and see what was on the menu over there?
The problem with, listen, if I was up there announcing it, I'd be chicken bacon ranch sub is the way to go at Evergreen. Best thing on the menu. When I'm racing, I like to keep it simple. Cheeseburger, no nothing on it, just plain old cheeseburger. But concession stand was packed all day long. Like I said, all these people there. So the food at Evergreen is always very good and very fresh. Especially first week of the season, there was no old leftover stuff from last year. Everything was fresh. Everything was good.
Well, those Twinkies last forever. So, I mean.
No. Okay.
Did they have anything else going on at intermission? Maybe like a big wheel race, or did they line the modifieds up for like a little fan autograph session or anything like that? What was going on at intermission up there?
That was the intent why they had those divisions prior, because the modifieds were supposed to be the fourth division of the show. So during intermission, usually, you put music on or something. If I was up there, me and Ted would be just shooting the breeze, talking about the weather, just boring stuff that nobody wants to hear, honestly. So what they did yesterday was they staged and lined up the modifieds on the front stretch during intermission. No interviews or nothing, but it was, like the dry, starting 20th, so-and-so. Yeah. So they, the guy would give a wave, get in the car. So then right after they went through the 20-car field, 15, 20 minutes. It wasn't a long intermission at all. As soon as intermission was over, they fired the engines and they were running their pace laps for the modified. So there was no, waiting around. I mean, you know how it could be after intermission. Guys are, this guy's supposed to start 4th. Where is he? Oh, he's in the bathroom. Give us 2 minutes.
Right.
There was nothing like that. Guys were ready to rock, ready to go as soon as intermission was over. So it that was the big theme of the day yesterday. Like I talked to Brian Soames before the race too. And he said that all he wanted to do was get the show in and not keep everybody there long, because we had so many people there, a lot of people from out of town. There was a lot of every division had a lot of cars from scattered throughout the Northeast. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
a lot of people
came. Cars, I heard a couple of Riverhead guys' names mentioned too. So that's another benefit of running on Sunday. You can get some of the Riverhead guys too, because they race on Saturdays. Yeah.
So right after intermission was right into the 75 lap modified race.
Yeah, so the modifieds went 75 laps. I think it paid $3,000 to win. If I'm correct there, Larry, was it $3,000 to win?
Yes, I do believe so.
That's a nice chunk of change for the modified guys. I watched some of it live on people's Facebook feed. It was a great race. The Barney car, the famous red 14 Dick Barney car, driven by his grandson Blake Barney. He had the lead for a long time when I was watching. He had a pretty good lead. And I kept saying to myself, Blake, you got to save the tires, because that's what Hirschman's doing right now. I don't know how Hirschman does it time after time and why people don't learn from what he does. But I swear there's times you're like, all right, well, Matt waited too long. He's too far back. Like he'll ride around 18th, You're like, he's just too far back. There's no way he's going to make that deficit up, especially when Blake Barney's got a half a track of lead on the field, And then sure enough, there's always a late caution. And next thing you know, Matt Hirschman is either second or third and getting ready to take over the lead. And that's pretty much what happened again here on Sunday. Am I correct with saying that, Larry?
Yeah, I was just going to jump in and say that's it. It almost sounds like you were there. Blake got out to an early lead. I want to say it was at least the first 30. laps went green from the initial drop. Blake started on the pole, and he was doing great. I mean, he was, like you said, he just basically, like they say the Cup guys do, when you get in the lead, you just go out front and hide, and that's what he was doing. He was out front, and he was hiding. And Hirschman didn't have a good starting spot, so he came up. I mean, I want to say, I think I remember when I picked him up, I remember watching him pass for 7th or 8th, and that was probably right before that yellow, like I said, on lap 30 or whatever. So like you said, Blake was using his stuff up. But if it was a 35-lap feature, like a normal modified night, I have no doubt he would have won the race because that kid was hauling the mail out there.
He actually had the fastest time of the day, and I think it's also a new track record. It was a low 13-second lap, which is pretty amazing around that racetrack.
Yeah, he was, and I mean, and you could just, that car is, we were sitting there during the feature just watching him, and it's like, that car is just immaculate. Like, it's nothing flashy, it's nothing that jumps off the page, it's not chrome, it's not, it's not an attention getter, but when you actually sit down and look at that car, it's a beautiful, beautiful piece that the Barneys have. Absolutely.
You know what's pretty amazing about Matt Hirschman? He does this every race up there. You think someone would say, you know what, I'm going to start right behind Matt Hirschman, and I'm going to run his pace and follow him. And nobody ever seems to do it. They all think. Well, here's the cool thing about Matt Hirschman. Not only does he have the super good patience to do it, because I know I like going fast when I'm on the track too. It's hard for me to hold back. But he has the confidence of that in himself that he can pass 10 or 15 cars in 10 or 15 laps. And to have that confidence is pretty amazing,
Yeah, absolutely. And, like we were saying before, all the passing was coming when you come off the corner. And he was just, no matter who, I mean, it was DeFebo, it was Earl Paulus, it was
big names, great race car drivers.
Just drove right under, coming out of the corner. It's like they were not rookies, but it almost looked like they weren't even in the same class as Matt was, just driving underneath them. And I mean, there's nothing you could do at that point, because like you see his nose coming. By the time you look over, car's gone. He was just passing cars like he always does. And I mean, 28, I didn't see Richie Evans, I didn't see my cousin Jimmy run a modified, I didn't see Reggie, I didn't see none of those guys. Matt Hirschman, for my money, is the absolute best modified driver I've ever personally seen.
You have some experience spotting for Matt Hirschman. Do you ever discuss that with him, like his patience and how he can save tires, or he just does it on his own?
Well, I was one that taught him how to do that.
Yeah.
Check's in the mail, Tim, for that. Check's in the mail.
Not from the Hirschmans, it ain't. He drives like his dad. His dad did the same thing. Matt was always very quiet on the radio, just so smooth on the throttle. You know what I mean?
And that helps save the tires as well.
Yeah, he's the chip off the old block. His dad ran with Richie Evans and Jimmy Spencer and won most of the time. And not against Richie so much, but later on, just a good race car driver. They drive their own race. That's what they do. They drive their own race. They don't care what anybody else is doing out there.
And like you said, the amazing part is he comes up through the field in a short amount of time, and he doesn't knock the wheels off it to do it. Like, he passes everybody clean. It's amazing to watch. Even though sitting at home and reading the results, you're like, oh, wow, Matt Hirschman won again. Wow, Matt Hirschman won again. But when you're there and you see it live, because I'm telling you, I've been there. I've been to the King of Greens, and I've been like, he waited too long. There's no way he can make up that much track space in that many spots in this short a time. And you can literally look away and look at the leaders and then look back and you're like, oh my God, he's 4th. Oh my God, he's 2nd. Oh my God, he's passing the leader. Where'd he come from? It's insane how good he is. It's just totally, totally amazing. And my hat's off to him. And congratulations to Matt Hirschman on a win. And I was glad Blake Barney was holding on for 2nd. That was 2 seconds in a row for him. He finished 2nd at Wall Stadium the night before. They switched cars out. That's not their Wall Stadium car they took up there. That's their Tour Type modified they took up there. And they went up there and finished 2nd again and set a new track record. And they had a good day themselves too. And Blake's getting better. He's a young guy. He's getting better and better every time he races. He's going to get a few wins this year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see him obviously as much as you guys do. I don't get to see him run, you know what I mean, on a weekly basis. But just from when he first started coming up to Evergreen, I mean, you could tell just how much he's matured as a driver. And like I said, like you said, he's a young guy. The kid's very good. He again, might have burned up the tire a little bit, but to beat Matt Hirschman, that's the only way to do it, is try to just get out front there and just pray that a yellow don't come out.
And And that's the decision Blake had to make. Do I hold back my tires and then I have to battle Matt Hirschman at the end? Or do I try to get a distance that he can't catch me and I won't have to worry about it and hope the caution don't come out? It's a gamble. It's a gamble you got to take, and he chose to try to run away with it. Even though if I talk to him, I'm sure he'd say, "Oh, I was saving tires. I was saving tires." I'm like, he could have saved a little bit more because he had such a lead. But by then, you might as well look at it the other way. I got a whole ass now and make a big gap that Matt can't close in on. But unfortunately, if the yellow comes out, it happens. Maybe if it went caution free, he could have held that.
And like you're saying with the burning tires, he didn't burn them off the car. I've seen plenty of guys get out front, try to outrun Matt, burn their stuff up, and run 12th. I mean, the kid did a good enough job keeping the tire underneath him. And I mean, finishing second to Matt Hirschman, like that's not a win, but that's about as damn close as you could get to winning up that place, because Matt Hirschman wins every single big modified race they got at Evergreen, So,
and another thing you got to say about Evergreen too is there for a couple of years it was like the caliber of drivers and the car counts weren't so great. So if you were running Wall or somewhere else, you go up there and you'd win, and you'd be like, "Oh, you went to Evergreen, you won. There's nobody up there." But now they got Ronnie Silk races there now. Chuck Hossfeld races there. Jimmy Blewett's been there recent past. Blake Barney, a lot of guys from Wall. They're really getting it. It's hard to win up there now. Like my point being,
I even said that to Nancy when I was looking at the final results. I'm like, there's 10 or 12 good cars here. I mean, you got Chuck Hossfeld that's won on the modified tour. I mean, the names, the Earl Pauls, the Brian DeFebos. I mean, they got good, solid race teams, and they're all top-notch cars. They're not like secondary cars that they bought from Wall Stadium and they're used up cars. That they got great race teams, modified race teams up there. The racing is very, very good. And
don't forget about Hartwig.
Well, he's not a tour type modified.
No, but I mean,
not yet anyway.
He beat Matt. Listen, he beat him. He beat Matt Hirschman once in a sport mod, and I'll tell you all about it.
Oh yeah, we haven't forgot. Don't worry about it. All right, Josh, here's with the top 10 there for the tour type modifieds.
75 laps. Matt Hirschman gets the win, followed by Blake Barney, Austin Beers, Dave Brigatti, Jack Ely, Chuck Hossfeld, Brian DeFabo, Earl Paulus, Chris Turbush, and Jerry Hildebrand are your top 10.
One guy.
Larry, just listen to that top 10. You got guys from Wall Stadium. You got guys from Riverhead. You guys got Mahoney guys.
Yep.
What a great melting pot for the modified division for these guys to go head-to-head at, man. That's an exciting race right there.
And you know what I think it is too, Scott? I think that it helps that they don't run them every week. It's right. It's special when the modifieds are on the card. So it's like you said, those guys from Wall, those guys from Riverhead, they can't come up every week. It's nobody has that kind of money to travel every single week or, twice a month or whatever. So it's like if you put the once a month or once every couple week big modified show at the beginning of the year, the guys could circle it. Okay, they're having 6 at Evergreen this year. We're going to be there for those 6 because, like you said, the competition is stout. It's not the same guys that's beating on your back bumper that you're beating on a Saturday night at your home track. You come up to Evergreen, and I don't want to call it like an all-star race, but like you said, you look at those names, man, there's a lot of wins. And the one guy I did want to highlight in that top 10 was Dave Brigatti. It was great to see Dave back at Evergreen. He won the Sport Mod Championship, I want to say in 2012 under the old Joe Calavini promotion. And it's been few and far between times that Dave's been at Evergreen since then. So it was great to see. I mean, his car, like you said, it's no junk. I mean, it's immaculate. They roll in with the big hauler. They got a big crew. And a lot of those modified guys do that come up there. Like you said, it's not the one guy and his buddy on an open trailer. Like there's legitimate operations that come up to run there that were there yesterday. And
another name I saw in the results too that came back to racing that hasn't raced in a while was Amber Fortin. It was good to see that family back up there racing as well.
Yeah, she did great too. I mean, I seen on Facebook, I want to say she said it's been like 4 or 5 years since she's been in a car, and she didn't put a wheel out of place from what I seen. And the 4 cylinders were after, so I watched probably the first 3 quarters of the modified race. Once Hirschman took the lead, I'm like, okay, I can go get ready now.
I'm gonna go get ready for my race.
That's it. But from what I seen, from what I did see of Amber out there, she was doing, for not being in a modified for 5 years, you were never able to tell type deal. You know what I mean? She did a bang up job, and it was great to see him. She ran up there. Her dad, her brother, like they used to bring 3 cars almost on a weekly basis for the modified sport mods and stuff back in the day. So it's great to see the Fortins coming back to support the place.
All right, so that covers the Torch Light Modified race, and that moves us to the very popular four-cylinder divisions. Down here, Larry, we like to say half the cylinders, but twice the drama. Do you guys have a lot of drama in your four-cylinder division up there as well?
I'd be lying to you, Scott, if I didn't tell you that there was somebody screaming and hollering after the race yesterday, and it was me. It was me. I was the drama yesterday. No, but no, I mean,
whatever division Larry Spencer is in, that's the division that has the drama.
Scott, there's nothing I could do. It's in my blood, but there's that's what Bobby Richards said when he put his arm around me yesterday before the race. He's like, Spencer, he's like, your cousin Jimmy put me in the wall in '87 at Flemington or something. He said to me, he's like, I'm still mad at the family since. He's like, I can't get my hands on him, but I'm gonna get my hands on you. So, yeah, I mean, I think the excitement is just born and bred. You know what I mean? It's just nothing you can do about it.
All right,
but
so
yeah,
how many
the
four
four
cylinders did you guys have?
16. There were 16 cars. 4 of them we brought, so we had a quarter of the field and still couldn't win.
So we're not going to be a 10-year-old.
Quarter of the field, and I don't know. So you have half the cylinders, twice the drama. You have quarter of the field. I don't know what you finished that with, Scott.
Just all kind of numbers we're putting out. But, no, it was a good race.
Who was the highest in finishing out of your 4-car team?
Rebecca Barbo. She finished 3rd. She started 2nd. It was another one of those races. Like we were saying, clean racing all afternoon. There was one accident at the beginning of the race. Unfortunately, Tony Hilliard, my best friend, was in one of the cars, and he got taken out on lap 0, and he was not too pleased. That's why I was mad. Nothing happened to me in the race. I ran a perfectly clean race, but I could tell just how mad he was afterwards. So I'm obviously, that's the cars that we put the most time in this week because we knew that thing was going to be a bullet, and unfortunately just wasn't able to see it through. So he ended up, like I said, getting 0 laps in. But Devin Schmidt, do you know Devin Schmidt, Scott, at all?
No, I don't
runs
know.
Mahoning, he runs everything at Mahoning. And he runs everything everywhere. Demos, junk car races, all that stuff. So what Evergreen has done in the past is if there's under a full 20-car field, you're allowed to run your enduro cars at the back of the pack with the 4 cylinders.
Okay.
Kind of fill the field out, you know what I mean? If you're getting lapped, bringing it, pull off to the infield, whatever. Kind of not a start and park deal, but kind of run your own race. Don't be in the leader's way, and just make it, make the numbers, massage the numbers a little bit. So Devin Schmidt hopped into one of my enduro cars, and he put Hoosiers. We asked him, we put Hoosiers on it. They looked at it. They're like, yeah, you got a halo and stuff, so you can run Hoosiers. He came blowing by me on the 2nd lap in my enduro car. Scott, I'm like, what is happening? Just blew my doors right in. But unfortunately, he ended up running out of gas because we ran. This was the car that I ran both the Penn Can Enduros with in January and February, and the Evergreen Enduro in March. And I don't think I put gas in it after any of them. So ran out of gas there on that end. But
gas is one of the important things you need in races.
But like I was telling him, I provided the car. I'm like, I thought the driver brought the fuel. I'm like, that's just a miscommunication on our part. That's all. But
so that's good. I know TJ Caboche, he was also in that race. Paulie Hartwig III was in that race. Some pretty good names in that division there. Was any of Scott Adams' kids in this race?
Yeah, Micah, his son, who he was involved in that first lap melee over there in turn 1, like I said,
really?
That Tony was involved in. But he didn't get I don't know how he didn't get too much damage. But he had a car up on his hood. Like I said, you're coming out of 2. I mean, at that point, you're wide open. Went up underneath one of the cars, and honestly, I thought he was done because I started 10th, missed the accident, and I didn't, I just seen him driving off, and I thought, okay, maybe it at worst case, it definitely got the radiator or something. Not 3 laps after green, here he comes down the front stretch, blowing my doors in. I'm like, oh, looks like that car's fine now.
All right, I know Paulie Hartwig III won the race, which was really cool because I think Paulie's only about 10 years old. His father and his family, they put their all into their racing. They really love the race. They have many different cars in many different divisions. It was great to see Paulie get the win. Go ahead, Josh. This with the top 10.
As you mentioned, Paulie got the win there, followed by TJ Capish, Rebecca Barbush, Nick Schaefer, Micah Adams, Cody Bohm, Jay Skupski, Jimmy Ayer, Zeb Farber, and Larry, look at you in 10th.
Top
Larry
10,
had a
buddy.
squeak in there. He knows the RPM podcast does the top 10, so he wanted to be mentioned on the show. Good job, Larry. The
Listen,
only thing
Scott,
I'm
I'll tell you.
disappointed about that four-cylinder division is TJ needs to put a garbage can on the roof of that car like the old days, and he'd be winning some more races up there.
when he had that old Chrysler New Yorker or whatever back in the day. Absolutely. TJ's. And that's the one thing that about the four-cylinder class at Evergreen. I don't know how it is at Wall, but it's a great mixture of youth and experience. You know, there's a lot of guys.
We do have that at Wall Stadium. Not only that, but we have guys and girls. We have older guys that ran. We have younger guys that are just starting out. We also have a few rear-wheel drive cars in our four-cylinder divisions. Is this not front-wheel drive cars? It's a true four-cylinder division. There's some rear-wheel drive Mustangs out there with the front-wheel drive cars too. So that makes it a cool mix too at our track.
Oh, and don't forget Mike Wall also had that Nissan 240 SX.
240.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I remember that thing. That thing rocked.
Yeah,
that was rear-wheel drive too, right, Josh?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so
anyway,
that's the four cylinders. I just want to say congratulations to Paulie Hartwig, the third. It was also his grandfather's birthday, which is Herschel. We all know Herschel. Herschel's a great guy, a true racer, been around racing for many, many years. So for him to see his grandson win on his birthday, that's a really cool deal.
And I got to say about the kid, little Paulie. He's got a whole bunch of Lisa in that blood because he is one of the absolute nicest, quiet. Like, I don't want to say quiet because he talks a lot. Like that, He gets that from the old man. But he's not loud. He's not like Paul. I want to say, but he drives like Paul. He drives like Paul with a good head on his shoulders. He doesn't get flustered. He doesn't put a wheel out of place. And I mean, I've seen a lot of kids coming up through over the years, and I would put Paulie up there with any of them. Just with how smooth, how consistent, and how everything he gets in, it's like the kid is just fast. Like Paul got lucky with him, and I mean, whatever they did, however they started him down there at a little wall running quarter midgets and stuff. I mean, the kid knows what he's doing, and to beat TJ, I mean, he, like you said, he won the race. TJ Capish, who has probably more laps at the place than I even do from the Enduros and factory stocks, and I mean, TJ's been there forever. And Paulie just got, Paulie started on the pole. TJ got behind him, and there was nothing that TJ could have done. Like I said, after that first lap yellow, there wasn't another caution. So they were bumper. It was Paulie, it was Capish, and it was Rebecca, 1, 2, 3. And they were just running. And Paulie did not put a wheel out of place because if he did, TJ would have been right there to capitalize on it. So the kid's got a really, really bright future. And I'm really excited to see where his career goes because I think he could be really good.
Yeah, it's something we're definitely paying attention to down here. It's definitely fun to watch. We've been watching him grow up and come up through the ranks, and he's only 10 years old, and he's already getting ready to run the sport mod. He's been running the sport mods over at Mahoney Valley. It's definitely something cool to watch, and we wish him well. Another name that I noticed missing from the four-cylinder lineup, it was Dan, the guy with the 42 car. What's his, Cassioli?
Yeah.
He wasn't there?
No, he went big time on us. Last year I had the opportunity.
SCRDA or something, right?
The Vors, the Vors tour. He's running. I got real close with Danny last year. He put me in his enduro car for a couple races last year, and I actually went to a Lake Erie with him to Crash-A-Rama last year. Which, Scott, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. Was that Lake Erie Crash-A-Rama? It was 100 cars on Lake Erie. Any of you ever been to Lake Erie to the track?
My brother has. My brother spotted for the tour races out at Lake Erie.
That is the absolute nicest track facility that I've ever seen for a short track. Like the place is immaculate. It's got like NASCAR sanctioned catch fencing around the whole place. Like it's a nice track. And I mean, when we went out there, I know I'm off topic, but this is a story. This is stuff that I know you'd appreciate as an enduro guy. They had 100 cars capped, no more than 100. They had 39 other guys sign in for an enduro. They said, okay, well, we can only run 100. So they ended up adding a flagpole race for those 39 extra guys. They had a school bus figure 8 race. Mm-hmm. They had a trailer race. You had to start the race with a trailer and a boat on there. And it was the absolute, it was 5 hours for me to get there. And it was the coolest thing ever. So anyway,
all that's real big down in Florida. When we go down to Florida, all those tracks down there do that, and that's one of the tracks in the Northeast that actually takes the Crash-A-Ramas up from Florida and brings it up here and puts on a good show.
Yeah, the guy that runs it, he he's actually from Florida. He lives in Florida, and he comes up
That's
here
what I
twice a year. Yeah, he does usually one at Erie and one at Holland up in New York.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to Cassioli. Yeah, he won the championship last year at Evergreen. And then he ran Bristol at the end of last year, before the season was over at Evergreen, and he loved it. He said, this is what racing is all about. Everybody helping hand, everybody just super nice, super informative on the Vorse Tour. So he said, he's like, okay, well, I'm running the tour next year. So he's already been to Anderson, Indiana. He went down to Five Flags Speedway in Florida back in February, and he was supposed to run Killcare in Ohio, but they got rained out. But yeah, he's been running the tour, so I don't really know how much local stuff he's going to be doing.
Yeah,
no, and
I got to know Dan a little bit up at Bethel at some of the open comp shows I raced with him, and he says he loves the traveling part of it, and he was looking for a tour type thing to do with his 4-cylinder, and that's what he's doing now. So that's great for him.
Yeah, and he's a lot. I mean, he used to run Evergreen 15, 20 years ago with a street stock and all that, and he still has a late model. But he said he explained to me last year. He's like, Larry, it costs me more money to put tires on my late model than it does to go to Kalamazoo, Michigan, to run a 4-cylinder.
Right.
To run the competitive late model
stuff, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, he's all in on that tour stuff, and he's one of the absolute top-notch people I've ever met in racing. So I'm really wishing him well, and hopefully he does come down to Evergreen to play at some point. But like I said, he's been doing really well. I know he was second in qualifying last weekend. I think they went to Anderson. I'm not sure where they ran this past weekend, but I know he was second in qualifying. So he's going to get a hang of it. And Danny's the type of guy that if you tell him, hey, Dan, this is what we got to do, he'll put the money into it, and he'll make it competitive to where he could be out the front with these guys. Like, he's not running this tour just to race. We'll give it a year or two, and Danny will be out there up front. Absolutely. I wholeheartedly believe that.
All right, so that moves us to the street stock racing as the final race of the night up at Evergreen Speedway. It was a 30-lapper. Josh, how many cars started that race?
I'm showing 22.
Wow, that's good. And we all know they cut the line off at 20 up at Evergreen. So Evergreen is a listener of the RPM podcast, and they're part of the Stardom All movement that we started here on the show. So I was glad that they didn't send 2 cars home and they let everybody race.
That should be the next sticker we make with the podcast logo. Start them all.
Start them all. How did that race go, Larry? Were you able to see any of the street stock race?
Yeah, luckily the street stocks were after our race. So we had one of our LRT Motorsports drivers that runs our 4-cylinders. He was out there in his street stock. Johnny Bennett, he finished 4th. He runs for Gary Wentz. You know Gary Wentz?
Yeah, of course.
Brent Wentz,
the Wentz body shops, right?
Yes, absolutely. And Johnny's a young kid, 18, and he's got all the talent in the world. He's already won at Mahoning this year, and he's going to be running the tour mods at Mahoning this week. So I paid a close attention for, run the Mahoning modifieds for Gary Wentz. So I paid close attention to that street stock race, and it was good. I mean, you know how the street stocks are up there, Scott. Bar none.
I'll tell you what, the street stocks up there aren't like the street stocks I used to race. They're turning into beautiful, beautiful race cars up there.
And it's always almost on a weekly basis that it's the best racing that the track has to offer.
Right.
So many cars are so equal, and just the defending track champ, won a ton of races the past couple of years. Brock Brown, he wasn't there, so it kind of opened up the field for everybody. It was kind of one of those deals where anybody could have won. But like I said, track position was such a huge thing. But there was racing from first to 22nd throughout the field. Like, they might have been running for 17, 3 or 4 of them, but they were running. So they would, like, the racing in the street stocks yesterday was absolutely phenomenal.
All right, Josh, here's what the top 10 for the street stock guys.
All right, so getting the win was Eric Kocher, and then we had Ken Ernie, Evan Rogalski, Johnny Bennett, Mike Pollock, Matt Schlenker, Jason Harmon, Steve Schultz, Rich Paciotti, and Brian Halecki.
Another thing, I know we're talking about Evergreen, but I just wanted to, through social media, I follow Cody Geist. I think that's how you say his last name.
Yeah, Geist. Yep.
He had a terrible accident at Mahoney Valley. I haven't seen a street stock bent up that bad in a long time. Do you know how Cody's doing?
Yeah, he was at the track on Sunday. He said he's a little sore. He was no worse for wear, but I mean, when I seen pictures of that, I mean, luckily his brother Shane, fabricator, hell of a welder, just all around. He builds immaculate stuff. And thank God he did, because if that car would have just been some backwoods thrown together, you know what I mean? Not, you know what I'm saying? If they skimped on safety, I don't know how good he would have been doing, because I seen the video of it, and
I did too.
It's
brutal.
Yeah, just nothing. 3 wide on the outside, and that's where the old pit. I'm pretty sure that was where the old pit exit was at Mahoney.
Is that what that opening was? I never noticed that opening at Mahoney Valley before. That was at the end of the front straightaway going into turn 1 where that opening is?
Yes, and that's the thing. Like, it's so high on the track. Like, nobody would ever run up there going into turn 1, because it's like all the way up against the wall type deal.
Right.
So what happened with Cody was he was 3 wide on the outside, touched wheels with somebody at the last second, and I mean the motor on the right side was completely torn off. The motor was through the firewall.
I know, and the right front tire was back into the motor. It was a brutal hit. Yeah, they need to put something there, like a foam block or some tires or something, and make it a softer hit up there, because that, like you said, that could have been really, really bad. And I was happy to see Cody was okay.
I always say if you leave a spot, a car will find a way to hit it.
Yeah, even though you think it's out of the way and no one's ever going to hit there, no one's been up that way in years, sooner or later, someone's going to find that spot, like Josh says, and something's going to hit that. So even though it's not likely, you got to make it safe. I mean, you got to buy one of those styrofoam blocks and throw it over there, or tires or something.
Something, yeah.
Because that was a brutal, brutal hit.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And like I said, it's just one of those. I've never seen a car hit. I've been going to Mahoning a long time, not as long as Evergreen, but I've been going to Mahoning a long time. I've never seen, coming out of turn 4 a couple times, I've seen the guys really hit the wall, like where the transition where you pull out onto the track now is, but I've never seen a car hit up there in a turn 1. Honestly, I've raced there a handful of times, and I didn't even know that opening was there. I had no idea.
I've been there too, watching races before. I never knew that opening was there either. I never noticed it, you know?
Yeah, no doubt about it. So we got lucky there for sure. And like I said, Cody Geist, second generation. His old man was still is. His old man is Todd Geist, who
he always had beautiful race cars. That guy always had beautiful. I loved his paint schemes. They're always super clean cars. They were number 44s, right?
Yeah, 40. The kid ran 44. He ran a couple different numbers over the years, but yeah, like you said, and they were always like a different. Like, he would run a purple car in the 90s when everybody else was, black, red.
Right.
And like his stuff would just jump off the page. So it was.
All right. Well, that wraps up Evergreen. We're really excited for you to come on, Larry, and help us talk through it. We do have to move on to part 2 of our show with the Wall Stadium. We really appreciate you coming on. We're really happy for Evergreen that they had a solid opening day. If anybody listening to us ever's in the area, or wants to shoot up there on a Sunday or a Friday night and watch racing, you really got to do it. It's a great track. They're really working hard. I'm glad they got another season ahead of them up there. So yeah, definitely go check them out, Larry. We really appreciate you coming on. And thank you a lot.
Absolutely, gentlemen. And if anybody ever wants to come to Evergreen and has any type of questions, concerns, anything, feel free to reach out to me on Facebook, and I'll point you in the right direction, help any way I can, because they're really building something, Scott. And it's a good to see, because like you said earlier, there's a couple years there where it was kind of looking kind of grim, including the place being closed for over a year back in 2015. So for them to be doing what they're doing now is on the upswing. And like I said, on an opening night, for everybody to leave with a smile on their face and nobody really mad at each other too much. I mean, couldn't have been more of a perfect afternoon yesterday at Evergreen. So I appreciate you guys having me on. And I know last time we said maybe Jimmy, but you had to settle for Larry again.
One more quick question before you get off. The little wooden bridge in front of the track still closed?
Almost. I think they got it all paved. It looks beautiful, but the construction signs are still up. So It wasn't open this Sunday, but it looks like within the next probably couple weeks or so, I'd say. Now real quick on
trucks and trailers be allowed to go across that now that it's a better bridge, or is it you still have to go around the other way?
I honestly don't. I didn't get the word on that yet, so I don't want to say yes. I don't want to say no. But it's not wooden. It's not wooden anymore. A couple times I went over that bridge with the truck and trailer, which I probably should. DOT wouldn't like that, and it was sketchy with the 4-cylinder going over.
Oh, I know. The boards would actually pop up as you're driving across them.
Yeah, that was a little sketchy, but
I did it with the factory stock. I know.
The truck's famous for that wooden bridge. I wish they would have made it a better bridge, but still left it wooden. It would have been pretty cool. All right, Larry, we appreciate you coming on, and we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Absolutely, gentlemen. You enjoy the rest of the show, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, Larry. Take care. See you soon.
Right. Yep. See you, boys.
Hey.
Hey everyone, this is Eric Brennan from the RPM Podcast. When it comes to finding a company that fulfills all of your towing and vehicle transportation needs, look no further than Riggleman Towing. Riggleman Towing provides 24-hour services for both local and long-distance towing. Whether you're moving your race car, daily driver, or junk cars, they're a fully insured operation that can and will cover all of your towing duties. For more information, visit RigglemanTowing.com and follow them on Facebook. That's Riggleman Towing, owned and operated by our very own RPM Podcast teammate, Scott Riggleman.
And we're back for part 2 of the RPM Podcast. We also want to thank our new sponsor, Nicotone Training Center at 781 Brick Boulevard in Brick, New Jersey. Thanks, Nick, for joining us, and we will have a commercial made for you by next week. We appreciate your help. All right, guys. I want to thank Larry Spencer for coming on and helping us with the Evergreen portion of the show. It's great to have another great asphalt track, only a couple hours from us, 2.5, maybe 3 hours from us, Josh, and they're doing well.
Yeah,
the more the merrier.
They had a great car count. It sounded like a great opening day for them, and a really good turnout, especially to see that new asphalt. So, I'm really happy for them. It was great to talk to Larry again. It's been a while, and hopefully just more good things to come. Hopefully they don't get too many rainouts this year.
It seems like every track in our area is up and running well. I mean, New Egypt Speedway is doing well. Bridgeport, they got that brand new track down there, and it's an ass-kicking track. Mahoney Valley's doing well. Evergreen's got the new pavement. Riverhead's open. Wall Stadium's open. We got a 3-year contract at Wall Stadium. Everything's going great, Well,
I remember
that brings us to Wall Stadium. We had a great.
Scott, I just wanted to say, I remember when we started going through the whole COVID deal last year, and we were doing the podcast. You're like, this is going to kill local racing.
Right.
And oddly enough, a lot of the tracks have kind of fought back and invested and made things work. And on the bright side, and especially with now things are starting to open back up, people are really desperate to get out, and they're going to the tracks.
It's almost like the COVID stuff set the world back like 10 years, because not only like stuff like auto racing where people were going to like that, but I went to go buy my kids bicycles. You can't find a bicycle anywhere. Like, people are riding bikes. They said sales of like board games are up, stuff like that. It's like we went from like 2020 back to like 1980, like when people rode bikes. Right. So it's kind of weird.
It definitely seems like auto racing came out on the other end of COVID stronger, which is great. But then again, like, the concerts aren't happening right now. The movie theaters are all closed right now. So we kind of have the entertainment dollar to ourselves right now. We're going to see what happens when the concerts and all that stuff's happening again. Right now, I'm enjoying it. I mean,
take it while you got it.
Trucks are going well.
Let's face it, for conversation's sake, we'll use numbers. Say 20 new people came to the racetrack because they couldn't go to a concert. If 5 of those families keep coming back, it's an improvement.
It's a game. It's a win.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like we said last week, you're talking about all the newer faces, the people that we aren't used to seeing at the track as spectators. You're getting this a younger crowd in. We gotta roll with that. We gotta make it work. Cater to them. I mean, this is your chance.
Right.
So, all right,
guys. So that brings us to the second week of racing at Wall Stadium. Unfortunately, the car counts were down, and me and my brother talked about it during the week before. We kind of had a feeling they were going to be down. Even talking with Nancy a little bit, she says, some people already scratched their itch of racing a little bit by racing Turkey Derby and opening night. They may take the second week off. Me and my brother talked about it. There was a lot of wrecks opening night, a lot of blown motors, a lot of cars got tore up. We knew the car counts were going to be a little down this time, and they were. The only division that really stayed strong was the 4 cylinders and the factory stocks. The modifieds were down to 10 or 11 cars, down from 19 the week before. And that was very unfortunate. We too had a beautiful day for racing down here on Saturday. It was a little cold and windy when I left my house to go to the track, and it was a little cold and windy when we got there, but it was a beautiful, clear, sunny day. And I thought it was, I bought winter jackets with me, wool hats, gloves. I thought it was going to get freezing and windy cold at night up there when the sun went down. Mm-hmm. But actually the wind actually stopped, and it didn't get as cold as I thought it was going to be. It was actually warmer later in the day than it was earlier in the day. So that was a good thing. And I think that was the reason for a late arriving crowd. Tim even noticed that too. I noticed when I rolled down for my heat race, there was nobody in the grandstands. But by feature time, we had a pretty good crowd again. It wasn't as good as opening night, but it was a pretty good crowd. Tim, how do you feel about the crowd Saturday night?
Exactly what you said. There was nobody there, and then all of a sudden it was not full by any means, but it was definitely an improvement from when it was earlier in the day.
I think it was definitely a late arriving crowd
Yeah.
because people said, "Oh wow, the wind stopped. Well, it's not as cold as we thought it was going to be. Let's head over to the racetrack." And I think that's what happened. I was on the pit side, of course, with my race cars and with Nancy, my blue 09 and Nancy's maroon 89 working in the pits. My brother was over in the grandstands. And Tim, you're pretty much just a spectator this week, right? You had no spotting duties this week?
No spotting. Cecily was at Monadnock, and Jimmy hasn't made his return yet, so I was just over there as a fan.
All right, Josh, you didn't make it to the races this week?
I'm not going to talk about it.
All right. So yeah, we had we said racing shoes or boots on the ground at Wall Stadium with me and my brother. Great night of racing. Now it really was. Pretty much qualifying went. There was one bad accident in practice. I don't know if you were there yet, Tim, or not, but unfortunately we tore a modified up before racing even started. Glenn Slocum's son, that my dad used to race with, his son as racing modifieds over Wall Stadium, he had a stuck throttle, Josh, in practice, and it was scary. He hit in turn 3 and didn't stop until he was coming out of 4 on the front straightaway into the wall, and that car was tore up bad. I really feel bad for them.
Did the wall kind of careen him around?
Yeah, it cupped it.
Okay, all right. So I mean,
seen that car coming on the flatbed, and it was bent bad. I really feel bad for them. We have enough tore up modifieds from opening night, and then have another one tore up in practice and lose another car.
No,
It was
scary.
a tough deal. I really don't know that family very well, but I was glad to see that the driver was okay, and I knew he was okay because he was over there helping repair the car to get it in the trailer. I did walk by, and the front clip was pushed over pretty bad. So unfortunately, with a low car count, we lost a modified due to an accident before racing even started. Another weird thing that happened too is I noticed Harry Reid, as team driven by his son Steven, they blew a motor up in practice.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh wow, we're going to lose another modified. But they actually stuck around and changed the motor right there at the racetrack, and they had it back done in time. I don't know if they made it out for qualifying. Tim, do you know if he time trialed or not, or did he just make it out for the feature?
No, he started in the rear of the field, I think.
Okay, yeah, so he made it out for the feature time. So yeah, they elected to take on the task of changing the motor right there at the track. They had plenty of time to do it, and they got it done.
As much as I don't care for Harry Reid. There's nobody better that can fix a race car as quick as he can.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll put a rack on a car in 3 laps and go out there and the thing will be straight.
I tell you what, when I walked by there, Tommy Martino, their engine builder, was over there helping them change it. They had a couple of crew guys. Steven was helping them change it, and Harry. And I tell you what, there was no panic going on or nothing. They just took their time and they switched the motor around and done in no time.
When it comes to rebuilding a race car at the racetrack, there's nobody better than Harry Reid. He can do it the quickest, the best. Always has been. He's good at that.
Yeah. So it was good to see them put in that team effort. I mean, they're obviously racing for points. Steven finished second opening night, so he was second in points coming into that week, and they didn't want to give up, and they worked very hard. I think they earned a 4th place finish that night. I could be wrong, could be third. We'll see that in results a little bit later. All right, so that gets us to our day there. My day started off, I mean, my car was super fast in practice. I think I set the fastest lap time in practice. But unfortunately, Nancy, she does the drawing. She signs us in when we get there. And we talked about it last week with the phone generator. You just press a button on Lori's phone, the handicapper's phone.
Yeah.
And that's, I think there's 180 numbers in there. I think Nancy drew me 166 and she was like 174 or something like that. Like we drew pretty bad. So that actually started, there were 6 cars in the 3rd heat race, and I had to start 5th in my heat race. But fortunately, I was able to win that race, so that gave me a 3rd starting position in the feature. I thought I was doomed with that bad draw, but I was able to make it up. But yeah, I really like the way they do it in the first 3 weeks of the year. I wish we would do it all year. I love that drawing for position. I love that your heat races mean something, because now I'm sitting 5th in a heat race, and I'm like, I'm going to go for it, because every car you pass in that heat race is that many less cars you got to pass in the feature. And it's actually like passing 3 cars, because we have 3 heat races. You know what I'm saying? So every car you pass in that heat race moves you up 3 spots in the feature. I like it. I wish we would just do it all year. And then there's never the argument like I should be starting in front of this guy. He wasn't here last week, or I finished here, he finished there. Why is he starting in front of me? Get rid of the handicap system. Do it like this all year. And if it starts getting crazy where the same guy's winning every week, then maybe do like a redraw for the top 5 or invert the top 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
I just think it would make it so much easier. All right, so we're going to go right into the features because our show ran a little long with the Evergreen stuff. Of course, the first cars down the hill were the Legend cars. And I tell you what, I actually went and sat in the grandstands and watched the Legend car race because Joe McGrath, one of our good friends, he's a brick police officer. He races when he can, when his job allows him to, because he works Saturday nights. He was telling me this year he has to work Saturdays, but he's getting off by 4 o'clock, so he's going to try to make more races this year. And he was starting up front in his race. He's got a beautiful white number 14 with red lettering on it. Beautiful race car. He really keeps his stuff clean. He was starting up front, so we wanted to watch him. I tell you what, Tim, the Legend car race was good this week. It really was. Those guys were 4 or 5 cars. Like my brother said, he could throw a blanket over them, and they were doing a lap after lap after lap, and it was a very, very good race.
Well, that's one thing about people say, "Oh, the car counts are down." You got to remember, you got 10. There's still 10 good cars in every division. So the racing was better. There was a lot less cautions because some of the guys that cause cautions every week weren't there.
Yeah.
So I made for great racing.
Yeah, there was really 3 guys going. There was 4 or 5 cars running together, but there was 3 guys battling for the lead. And Joe's car looked like it was better on the outside, so he was staying on the outside. And the one guy was getting underneath him, but Joe was able to battle him off on the outside. He finally lost the lead when Quinn Trimmer moved into second, and then there was a restart, and the 77 car was actually able to pass Joe McGrath for the lead and eventually win. But it was a great race. It was funny because I was sitting with Elliot. Elliot's also good friends with Joe. And we're rooting for Joe because he's our friend. And we got Kenneth Trimmer, which is the 77's father that owns the car and everything. He's behind us cheering for his son to win his first race. He's like, "Why are you cheering for that guy?" I said, "He's never won a race before." He's like, "We never won a race either." So I started cheering for both of them. It was just, it was emotional, Josh. The father was so pumped up when his son took the lead. And they were cheering him on for the win. And with a couple laps to go, it was pretty obvious he was going to win because Joe wasn't catching him. And I haven't seen somebody that happy in the grandstands in a very long time over a race. That family's been racing now a couple of years over there with the Legend car. And they've had some tough luck. They had the rookie blues, and they've tore up some race cars and stuff like that. And for them to get their first win, and for me to be sitting with the crew and the family while they got their first win, it kind of reminds you how special racing is to people. And it was good to see that family get their first win.
No, that's really cool. I like that.
All right, Josh, hit us with the top 10 for the Legend feature.
Sure. Quinn Trimmer gets the win. First win.
First career win, which is awesome.
Followed by Joe McGrath, as we were talking about. Then Mason McGee, Colin Milroy, Peter Bruno, Roger Nickerson, Leanne Cherry, Matt Verlangeri, and yeah, I tried, and Phil Bogdan.
How many cars did they have, Josh?
That was 9.
Oh, they had 9 cars. Okay, it was good racing though.
Hey,
Before we go any further into the other divisions, are you done with this division?
I was just going to say it was good for Roger to get a 6th place.
Yeah.
We didn't do our intermission stuff. Scott, one of the things I wanted to say was notice there was a lack of billboards on the back straightaway.
Oh yeah. Real quick we got a little ahead of ourselves, but at the drivers' meeting, Emily, talked to us at the drivers' meeting like she does every week. She kind of gives it like a union of the address type thing, and she did remove all the billboards off the back straightaway because they were looking a little ratty and old and faded and stuff, and she wants to start fresh. And she did announce that she's trying to get new billboards up there. It's $1,950 for a billboard. That includes the sign itself, which I'm sure costs a lot of money. The sign's going to be plenty big. They're going to be professionally made. And that's for I think that was for 3 years, she said. And then after 3 years, there's just like a renewal fee, but she's not going to charge you the full $1,950, obviously, because the sign's still there, unless you want the sign changed. You know what I'm saying? So she is looking for billboard sponsors for the back straightaway. If anybody's interested in sponsoring Wall Stadium with a billboard on the back straightaway, just to contact the office and let them know that you're interested. That was one cool thing that she announced during the drivers' meeting.
Another thing I noticed, there were signs up for, help wanted signs. They got a lot of ideas going on there. A sweet shop and what was it, new photographer.
I might have a picture of the listing of stuff.
I sent this picture to us.
Yeah.
I think there was a turn 4 flagger. So hopefully, I'm guessing hopefully Warren has been relegated to driving the pace.
Well, Warren's the head guy over at New Egypt now, so he doesn't have time to come over to the stadium now.
Okay. And then they were looking for an announcer as well. I remember that.
Which is kind of odd to me because I think there's plenty of announcers there,
I remember they were supposed to have Tim Catalfamo involved, and then I haven't seen him there since. I know he's got
he might have moved on to the NASCAR stuff a little bit, so he might not have time to come back there.
Yeah. Hype girls, I know a couple girls that would be good for that, but that's a whole nother.
Josh, did you do a little officiating at the racetrack?
I did a little bit, yes.
You didn't like it?
I'm a driver.
All right, I have the sign here. It said, Wall Stadium Speedway want to join our team, now hiring turn 4 flagger, experience required, announcer, experience required, photographer, experience required, 2 maintenance staff, preferable strong enough to lift trash bags, but not required, 2 cone maker / cashier at the ice cream stand, easy job, good tips, will train. 1 cashier at the new sweet shop, easy job, good tips, will train. 2 lemonade makers, cashiers at the new fresh squeezed lemonade stand, easy job, good tips, will train. National anthem singers, volunteer, no compensation. Hype girls, calling all hotties. That's me and you, Josh.
Oh yeah. Shake it.
Hype girls will wear shorts or jeans and a tank top provided by the racetrack, and hype fans at race events by throwing shirts and participating in intermission entertainment, take victory lane photos with winners, etc. 5 to 9 p.m. flat rate cash compensation per event. The commitment to every race is ideal, but part-time is okay too. Interest, email Emily at wallstadiumspeedway@gmail.com.
I wonder what kind of experience you need to wave a flag in turn 4. What experience?
Exactly that, Tim.
I think Tim could do it. I mean.
Oh, I have plenty of flagging experience. I flag.
Yeah, Tim's got flagging experience.
I
But
might
yeah,
even be able to do it.
join the Wall Stadium staff over there. They have some positions available. Give Emily a call or email her.
Just if you're going to be the turn 4 flagger, you have to make sure that you unsteadily walk down into the turn as the cars are coming, looking at the flag stand, not at you, and try to get in the path of the cars.
All right, Tim, anything you want to talk about the concession stand before we move into? Yeah.
You see my fat ass down there in one of them yellow vests on. I look like Pac-Man down there.
Yeah, Pac-Man, you look like the setting sun over there.
Concession stands. Yeah, speaking about being a fat ass. Of course, Alexis and Bailey got their famous chicken fingers and French fries. The specials were, I guess, Nelke picked a double bacon cheeseburger, which I tried because I was curious to see if it was anything different than just 2 cheeseburgers with some bacon in the middle of it, and that's pretty much what it was. It was good. Don't get me wrong, it was good. The other special was roast beef sliders. There was 2 of them in there. I think they were $5, which my friend Gary got. They were so big he could only eat one, so he gave the other one to Mom, and Mom said it was excellent. She said it was, and Mom's a big roast beef person, and she said it was excellent. So that was good. And they kept saying something about over the loudspeaker about tater tots. I don't know if they were like bacon and cheese tater tots or something like that.
Ooh, I could go for some loaded tater tots right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh is a tater tot guy.
Yes,
they were specials. We'll see what the winter special is this week. I like when they do the winter special because it's something out of the box, something out of the ordinary.
I know. I'm kind of hoping I might get picked this week, but I haven't heard anything from the track. If I do get picked, Josh, maybe we'll put something on the RPM podcast and
boiled peanuts, right?
Boiled peanuts. No, it won't be boiled peanuts. I can guarantee you that.
What do you think you'd pick? If they
I don't know. Last time I did it, I did the foot long hot dog with baked beans on it.
Ooh. Chili cheese dog, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Mm.
We'll think of something. If I get chosen, we'll think of something. But I haven't heard anything from the track yet.
I told you bacon wrapped hot dog with cheese.
Yeah, Tim. The Brigglemans grew up on something called a Hawaiian quail. It's a basically you take a hot dog and you slice it down the middle and you put American cheese in it, Josh, and then you wrap bacon around it and you actually bake it in the oven. And it
to make more history of that story, our great grandmother had a lunch truck back in the day around this area, and she actually sold that on her lunch truck. It was called Hawaiian Quail. That's how that all started.
Oh my God! I haven't eaten dinner yet, and I'm just getting really hungry.
And my mom still makes it to this day, and the twins love it. I've kind of outgrown it myself, but they love it. I think it's good.
I'm gonna have.
All
to
right, so
try
we
it.
did the legend cars already. Next down the hill what was next down the hill, Tim?
I don't know.
What was it for legend cars?
I don't remember.
I know Sportsmen were last, so it had to be.
Yeah, Sportsman had to run last this week. Which
It was you guys, right?
no, I think it was the 4-cylinders, right?
Maybe.
We were the fourth feature actually.
Doesn't Josh have it in front of him?
Yeah, it's out of order. Jeff Garat put the modifieds first because I don't know why.
I'm pretty sure it was the 4-cylinders.
Yeah, I think it was the
4-cylinders came down the hill next, then the modifieds, and then
Okay, well, yeah, we'll just go with it.
Yeah.
all right. All right, so next down the hill, maybe, where's the 4-cylinder cars? I didn't get to watch them because I was getting ready for my race. Maybe I don't know, but I know whoever won was super excited because
It was the 5 Kellogg's looking car.
yeah, it was a 5 Kellogg's car. It was
Yeah.
his first win, and he was very,
That
very,
guy-
very thrilled.
I was happy that guy's come so close so many times. He'd lead the race, say it was a 25 lap race, he always starts up front. He'd lead 20 laps of that race, he'll come out and he'd lose. He's every time, he deserved that win, and he was so happy, and I was happy for him. He deserved it. He really did.
There must have been one pretty bad wreck because I did see the old JC Duval car come into the pits.
Yeah,
He had his right rear tire ripped right off the car, and it was hanging down on the ground and everything.
I think something broke because he went through the corner and it was all hopping. Whoop, 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 like a 3-year-old motion car, I think something broke on one of the right.
But I thought I saw a picture too of another car like underneath him, like ripping.
Yeah, that was after the fact, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a good kid, Tim. We actually know him. That's actually Kim Merweed's son.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's new to racing. His family's actually related to the Bloach, Josh. And I grew up with Kim. She went to Howell High School. Then her family moved down to South Jersey by the Manahawkin area. And her son's actually trying to race now, and they're the ones that bought JC Duval's 4-cylinder car. Okay. And that's the second time he has a problem with the right rear because the one time the hub came off, and Herschel Paulstad actually helped him fix it. And then now this week something must have broken the back again too. And I did see a picture of the 15 car underneath him, like ripping it off. So he's having a little bit of a tough time on that right rear, but it's good to see him. He's a new face in the pits. He's a younger guy. We need people like him at the racetrack. He's the next generation coming through. Me and Nancy are friends with his mother, and we did tell them if they needed borrow any tools or anything at the racetrack, they're more than welcome to come over, and we'll give them a hand.
It's a harsh welcome, and it's a really tough learning curve sometimes for some people. I mean, it's usually bad luck.
He's happy. He's a young kid. He's ready to do it. He's got his fire suit and his helmet and everything. He's just got, like you said, it's a tough learning curve. You just got to, keep marching on in racing. There's more lows than highs in racing, that's for sure. Even at the stage I'm racing at, I still have more lows than highs. So hopefully he toughs it out and keeps racing.
I will say the one positive is the more you break earlier on, the faster you learn how to fix that stuff later.
And sooner or later, your car's brand new. You know what I'm saying? Because you're putting all brand new parts on it. You know what I'm saying?
It's like that question, like, after you replace how many nuts and bolts and panels, at what point is it a new car?
Josh, you're doing something wrong. You wrecked your car a lot. You're still old.
No, I'm still slow. It's new. It's
All right,
it's
so we
just
got a
slow.
first-time winner of the four-cylinder division, which is always great. So go ahead, Josh. Hit us with the top 10 of the four-cylinder guys.
All right, so Billy Pross with the win out of Hazlitt. That's your new winner. Followed by Darianne McLaren, Alonso
Who's
Morales.
running great in that car, and she's going
I
to do
actually,
it this year
she
too.
was flying. She was flying again in the heat race. I would have hands down. I would have picked her to win the race, and she was just a little off in the feature for some reason. I don't know what you changed on those cars between. I don't know if they changed something or the track conditions were different, but he was just a little bit off in the feature for some reason. I don't know what the problem was.
She's fast. She's
Oh,
good.
yeah.
She's fast. That car's good, and it's a great combination. I've noticed that when she starts mirror driving, she gets somebody on, near her, she'll start mirror driving, and that seems to hurt her a bit. Otherwise, she has a lot of talent. I mean, she can do really well. She just needs to focus.
She's the car to beat in that division right now,
Yeah.
for sure. And I really think Darianne's going to have a breakout year this year. We're only 2 races in, and she's turning a lot of heads. And I really think she's going to. She's going to have multiple wins this year in this car, and I'm excited for her and her family. They put a lot into the racing, and I'm glad to see them there racing. I know Sal finally got his new car finished. Tim, do you notice how Sal's car's running?
He started in the back. He wasn't running upper mid pack at one point. If he finished there, I don't know, but he definitely showed improvement from the heat race to the feature. He was
Yeah,
a little.
that car's going to be fast too. That car's a
Yeah.
brand new car built by Ricky Williams and Sal, and it's kind of replacing the car that Darianne's driving for Sal himself. I'm sure they're just working out some of the new car blues
Yeah.
with it.
Yep.
And, within the next few weeks, that car's going to be running up front as well.
All right, so as we talked about, Alonso was in third. Then we had Sal in fourth, Sal Ligori, that is.
Wow. Yeah.
Then in fifth, Ian Ashford. Then Sean Volksanic, Alex Gratz, Michael Avery, Ryan Marr, and Cody Critelli in 10th. So that
How many four cylinders were there, Josh?
17.
That's
wow.
good.
That's a good car count.
Yeah, that's an absolutely fine car count. There's nothing wrong with that. So good for them. It sounds like it was an exciting show. So, keep it going. I mean, they're going to be something to watch, definitely this year. So,
All right, next down the hill was a Mighty Modifieds.
Vroom vroom.
I tell you what, that race sounded really exciting. I was listening while sitting on my car stage for my race. I put one of the earplugs in from the receiver so I can listen to the track, and I leave one out so I can listen to the track announcer so I know what's going on in the track. I did watch a couple of videos on YouTube. Josh, I want to plug a guy on YouTube who does a great job.
That guy that showed up out of nowhere does an awesome job.
Yeah, there's a new guy doing videos this year and posting them. He had my race up by like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, everybody hates me. Fine.
What he does is he puts all 3 heat races and then the feature for each division and makes different links for all of them, so you don't have to watch all day long.
Right. And he does a good job cutting out the yellows and the cleanups and stuff like that. So it goes fast.
The only thing he's got to that you do way better than he does right now, Josh, is he doesn't have the announcers like you do, and he doesn't tape the announcers. If he did that, I think it'd be a lot better.
I record separately the announcers in the tower or their radio broadcast, and I record the receiver separately, so I can mix it all in.
Well, I'm pretty sure the guy's name is Owen Lawrence. I'm pretty sure that's his name. So if you want to go on YouTube and look for Owen Lawrence, he puts up all the heat races and features, like my brother just said. He does a great job. It's great videos to watch. I was so happy to get home, and
I did it before it was cool.
Yeah, you were the original one. Yeah,
it's a little.
There's definitely more now, Josh. It seems like everybody's videotaping them now.
It's a little hard to do it from your couch, Josh.
Yeah,
Oh.
I tell you what, pretty soon you'll be able to do it from your couch. So many people got their phones out and doing Facebook Live and stuff.
Yeah,
I would
like
like to know what camera he uses because it's crystal clear.
On one of those his Facebook posts, someone did ask him what he was using, but I didn't see if he answered him or not. Yeah, he does a great job. His name's Owen Lawrence. Give him a subscribe on YouTube. You get to see all the races, when you get home or during the week and everything. It works out great for me.
I gotta do
Hit the
Turkey
like
Derby.
button.
What's that, Josh?
I filmed Turkey Derby. I just didn't edit it yet.
I know you came over and took my SD card. Thing,
I
my
have
SIM
it all.
card.
I just need to throw it
I
all
know, I
together.
still haven't posted it. This Owen Lawrence guy had it out by midnight, Josh.
Maybe he doesn't have a job.
Josh, Josh is still trying to load up the video he took of the Hindenburg blowing up. He's still a little behind. He's a little behind in schedule.
Oh, the humanity.
All right, so modifieds were next on the racetrack, and by listening to it and watching the YouTube videos, Kenny Van Winkle was flying early in the race. He had a real good race going on. Kenny's family works very hard at the racetrack. They're a family-run team. They sponsor their own car through their Napa stores. They own a lot of the local Napa stores in our area. Great family. If you ever need parts, go check out the Van Winkle Napa stores. Kenny was flying. He had a good run going. Unfortunately, a caution came out, and
Seven to go.
7 to go. Tim, he was leading with 7 to go.
Yeah.
A caution came out, and that bunched everybody up. He had a great restart, though. He really did. He had Eddie McCarthy to his outside and Andrew behind him. And it looked like going into turn one, he had Eddie McCarthy beat going into turn one, but Eddie tried to drop in behind him. But Andrew was kind of there, and Andrew kind of clipped Eddie because Eddie was squeezing down, and that pushed Eddie into Kenny, and unfortunately spinning Kenny to the point where he had to go to the rear of the field, and that cost him a shot at the win.
And I see here that Eddie finished last. Did he get tore up in that?
He might have. He was very apologetic. He took full blame for it.
That was one of those deals. If Eddie McCarthy would have made that move and it would have worked, it would have been the move of the night.
Right.
It was just that, racing real estate and all that other stuff.
Yeah. There's a game of inches, and he needed a couple more inches to fit down in there, and it happened so fast, and it probably shocked Andrew that he even tried it. So Andrew didn't even have time to react and back out and give him the room to get down in there.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. I just felt so bad for Kenny Van Winkle because I can imagine him going down the front straightaway. Wow, I had the perfect restart. I got this guy beat. He's not even next to me going turn one, and next thing you know, you're spinning in the corner. And
it happens fast.
Yeah, it happens fast. But Eddie McCarthy was very apologetic. He even apologized on social media. He took full blame for it. It was just a tough deal. But I tell you what, if Kenny stays as fast as he was in that race, he'll get a couple wins this year. But Tim, I was watching that race in the video a little bit. It seemed like Kenny was starting to get loose at the end. Do you think he could have held off Andrew?
It was one of the things, like you said when you were talking to Larry about Blake, there for a while. I'm like, man, he needs to slow down a little bit.
Right.
It's really he's out there running the hell out of that car, and there was no need for that.
Right.
He might have used it up a little bit too soon. If he could have held it.
But I noticed he was loose coming off the corner, but he was still pulling away from these guys. Like he was getting loose, but he was still fast. You know what I'm saying?
Burning the tire off in the process, but
it would have been a good race. I really feel that Kenny could have held them off for 7 laps because I think Andrew in the 22 car would have got bad on each other and Kenny could have got some distance. But who knows? We'll never know because it just didn't happen. It was very unfair.
I don't know. Billy Cole's got that 22. That kid probably could have passed him on the outside if he wanted to.
Yeah, but he got beat on the restart. That's how fast Kenny.
I mean, after the fact.
Yeah. Who knows? We're kind of robbed of a good finish, It
would have been a good finish. Yeah, it would have been interesting.
You want the top
10
10
on
on
that? Andrew to the lead, right, Tim?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't remember exactly that's what he got lead or not.
Van Winkle got caught up in that wreck, and that moved Andrew into the lead, and Andrew pretty much checked out after that.
Yeah.
Andrew had a great weekend. Stafford Motor Speedway had a race on Friday night, and it was on the NBC Sports Gold app that we all have from the Track Pass. And I did watch that, and Andrew ran very good in that Stafford race, and he finished 7th. He ended up finishing 7th up at that race at Stafford. But I talked to him at the track. I said, Andrew, you got to be tired, man, because that race didn't get over to like 11 o'clock at night up there. And, he still had to pack up and drive all the way home. He said the race got shortened by a few laps up there because of rain. He said that as they were loading the cars up in Stafford, Connecticut, the rain actually turned to snow. It was actually snowing when they were loading everything up. He said not only did they get home late, like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, but now they have to swap the truck around. You got to take all your tour stuff out of there, the tour cars out of there, and put your wall stuff in there.
Oh.
But he had a great weekend. A top 10 with a 7th place finish at Stafford.
With a race won by
and winning 2 in a row now at Wall Stadium. He had a great weekend.
The tour race was won by Patrick Emmerling, who,
Yeah.
a side note, Glenn McGowan spots for. So congratulations to Glenn for his.
On a side note,
Sure.
too, he's got Captain Pips on the side of his car, and that's a hotel that me and Nancy hang out in when we're in the Florida Keys. It's right by
nice.
It's right by the famous 7 Mile Bridge.
And it's good to see Jan Lee to get a win too. So
Yeah, they say he was the first guy to ever win that race as a driver, and now as a crew chief.
yeah, it's good.
All
And
right,
then-
Josh, this with the top 10 of the modified race.
I will gladly do that in just a moment. There we go. Okay, so as we talked about, Andrew Krause gets the win. Followed, and we talked about him earlier at Evergreen, Blake Barney.
Oh, yeah.
Born to
Got a great
runner-up, it seems. In second again. Then we had Tommy Martino Jr. in third. Stephen Reed, after changing a motor, ended up fourth. Then Dom Fataruzo, Kenny Van Wickle, Jack Ely, Joey Merlino, Derek Hopkinson, and Chris Andretta. And then we talked about Eddie McCarthy. He rounded out the field in 11th after that, that racing deal that, it is what it is. So, yeah. He got the tough end.
I also want to congratulate Tom Martino Jr. That's a great run for him with a third-place finish, He's off to a pretty good start of the year, too.
Yeah, I thought Hopkinson
for the
would
Reed
have done...
family for the effort of changing the motor, they were rewarded with a top 5 with a great 4th-place finish.
Yeah, I mean, you figure no...
Isn't it funny that Stephen Reed's now the veteran there?
Oh, I know. We remember him as a little kid running around the racetrack. Now he's a veteran.
I mean, it's got to change hands sometime, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Scott, when did you become the veteran?
I became the veteran 20 years ago, so what am I now? The grandfather veteran?
You're the old timer.
All right, so that brings us to the factory stocks. The American Steel comes rolling down the hill. I think we had 20 cars. 20 or 21 cars, Josh?
I show 18.
18 started, but there was 2 broken practice. Unfortunately, Chris Webber's off to a tough start. I think he had transmission troubles because he went out in the first practice, and when he came off of turn 4, I heard the car scream. Like the revs really jumped up on the car, and I seen him pull into the infield. And next thing I know, the car was up on the trailer. So I have a feeling that something broke in the drivetrain. Most likely it could have been transmission problems. And then there was a number 13 car. For some reason, he wasn't able to make the call for the race either. We had 20, but we lost 2 in practice.
I want to say something about Weber's car with Dean, the step-aside fabrication. Dean Gilchrist.
Looks awesome, don't it?
That car gets a dent in it. Dean puts a whole new door on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That car, Gil, they call him Gil. It's cool to see Gil back involved in racing like he is now. He went away for a couple of years. It's good to see him back. And that car is beautiful. Every week it's beautiful.
Do you want to talk to him about getting Scott a door?
No, I'm keeping my door on. People call me the Blues Brothers. They said my car looks like the Blues Brothers mobile. I'm leaving it. Elliot's offered. He's like, dude, I can come wrap that door and make it look perfect. I said, nope, leave it alone. It's perfect.
I just had to bust your balls a little bit on that.
All right, so we rolled down on the track. Our race went pretty good. There was a caution very early in the race, and then after that, there wasn't any more cautions. I think there was one more caution a little later in the race. I started third. Billy Both was on the pole. Tom Rajowski in the 91 was on the outside pole. Uncle Joe Manjo was on fourth, and Elliott was fifth. So we had a lot of good cars up front. A lot of fast cars up front, and I was able to take the lead real early. By lap 2, I think I was leading. And then me and Elliot actually started checking out a little bit, and then one more caution did come out, and that put Elliot on the outside of me. And I knew that was going to be a tough race because Elliot's super fast, and I was able to beat him down into turn 1. And he stayed on my bumper for a while, and then with about 5 or 6 laps to go, I was able to start pulling away from him, and I put a pretty good gap on him.
Scott, do you think that the warmer temperature at night that we didn't expect, do you think that played to your advantage with your setup or anything?
No, I was actually a little free. I actually left it free because I thought it was going to get colder and the track was going to tighten up. So I was actually a little free. Josh, I really don't know why my car was so good. It was just I we talked about it last week where Brian O'Shea had a great opening night where he drew the pole in the first heat and won that race easily, and then moved to the feature, saw him on the pole and won that race. He won most popular driver. He had the perfect opening night. We had a little bit of a bad draw, but I was able to win the heat race pretty effortlessly too, and my car was I put 4 brand new tires on. I mean, whenever you put 4 brand new tires on, you're off to a good start anyway. I put those 4 brand new tires on. My car was like perfect, but my car was good last week too. And a lot of people didn't believe me. I got a right front flat last week, and it was going down slowly, and I started pushing towards the end of the race. So I didn't really show what I had last week. This week I had 4 brand new tires on. Nothing got cut. I got out front, and clean air, whatever you want to call it, and the lap traffic there wasn't much lap traffic. I only lapped a few cars, and they stayed to the bottom, and it was just a smooth run. You know what I'm saying? The car really, really worked good.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, when it lines up, I guess. But,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we talked about Brian O'Shea having a great night. I just had one of those perfect nights at the racetrack that don't come very often, and you got to really appreciate them when they do come. So I was real happy about that.
Scott, before we get to the exciting news about that win, when was the last time you won at Wall? Look, I mean, it seems like you've had a little bit of a dip there.
Yeah,
I know you've won the Enduros and all, but Wall's been a little tough lately.
I've been winning, but not at Wall, and it was a little bit of a lull. But you got to remember too, if you notice in Victory Lane, Tim, I dedicated my win to Steve Barrick. That was a little bit of a rub on Steve. Me and Steve have become friends over the years. Steve Barrick is the guy that sells the programs at the racetrack. The programs is his deal. Great guy. True racer, been around racing forever. You see him at every race. I go to New Smyrna, I see him down there. I see him at the Atlantic City Boardwalk Hall race.
He's all over. He's all
over. Yeah. He hustles those programs like you want to believe. And to be honest with you, he makes the nicest program in auto racing. I've gone to other racetracks and you pick up their program, it looks like a 2-year-old made it. His programs are very professionally done. Well, Steve came over to me. He asked me the same question before the night. He's like, "Man, you haven't been winning here. What's wrong?" Blah, 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 blah. I just looked at him. I said, "Steve, you know what? If I win tonight, I'm going to dedicate that win to you." He just laughed at me. He just laughed at me and walked away like I had no chance of winning, So when I won, I jokingly dedicated the whole win to Steve Barrick, So it was a pretty cool
well, the egg's on his face now.
Yeah, but then again, like I told Steve, I said, "Yeah, I didn't win last year, but we only raced 9 times." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, but that's the thing. It's just, again, I know you've been winning the Enduros. You've been doing well all these other places, but
and then when we got home, Nancy did look it up. The last time I won was 2019, but that was really basically the last full season we did. But what makes it seem like a long time, I won very early in that season.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
you know what I'm saying? It's not like I won at the end of the season. I won like the 3rd or 4th race into the season. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of feels like I went that whole season without a win because I won early.
Yeah.
But hey, man, it's nothing to be ashamed of. That factory stock division's tough over at Wall Stadium.
I know that people have judged the division saying, "Oh, well, it's just so the people that were saying stuff in the stands could get out there and race." It is one of the most competitive divisions, and those cars were not built for that. Modifieds are built.
Josh, we were talking about Larry Spencer about how tough that top 10 was in that modified race at Evergreen. When you look at our lap times in that factory stock, I wasn't the fastest lap time. I think I was the fastest lap time. But we were all in the O's. Like there was like 7 cars in the O's within hundreds of thousands of seconds within each other. You know what I'm saying?
A good example of that is when you let Eric Goodell take your car out of Florida. He came in, he had smiled from ear to ear. Says, "Man, I want to race one of these one day. Like this got to be great to race one of these."
Yeah, well, here's a top modified driver on the NASCAR tour. I let him take my factory stock down. He's like, "I love this car. This thing was awesome."
You have to drive this thing.
You have to drive it.
There was a time. There was back in the day when I was racing still. Eric Graham and myself, we let the Allspack brothers take our cars out to help drive the track. And they came back in laughing their asses off. Like, how do you drive these things? They're impossible because they're not built for it. And you really have to wheel it. They're difficult. I mean, does it happen quite as quick as a modified or even a sportsman? No. But the cars are incredibly difficult to keep under you.
Because they're big, heavy cars with stock brakes. We don't have much stopping power, you know what I'm saying? We're
Yeah.
not allowed different springs from side to side. We can't get much cross weight in the car, But I tell you what, my car, I don't. It ran so good Saturday night. It felt really, really good.
Let me say this. I was, technically offered to trial a sportsman car. Now, if I can get my car back together, I want to make that same offer to that person to try running my factory stock and just see what it's like. I mean, that car does not want to do what you want it to do. I mean, yes, you're
Well, we've talked about this before. Our cars were built on the assembly line to go down the parkway,
yeah.
not to go barrel into a car at a corner at 75, 85 miles an hour. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
But
I
we
know
make
what
them work. We make them work.
I know what comment Josh is talking about, and I don't know who that comment exactly was set to, but a lot of people don't know Scott's raced every division at Wall Stadium.
Yeah.
He chooses to race what he does because that's what he likes to do. It's not because he can't drive a modified. He's raced with the best of them out there. It's not what he likes to do. So,
I always enjoyed the street stock divisions. No matter where you go, whatever racetrack you go to, it seems like the lower series put on the better show. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Even at the NASCAR, I think the truck race is generally the better
Right,
race
you're
of
right,
the
Josh.
weekend. But
Right.
but Scott, I think going off of what Tim was just saying, you've driven pretty much everything there. I mean, what's the hardest to drive? I mean, yes, they all have their own nuances.
The
Absolutely.
most exciting thing to drive when you're on the track by yourself and just driving a race car is, of course, the modified. The speed and the throttle reaction and how far you can drive them down into the corner, and they stop, they got brakes, they turn, they do what a race car is supposed to do. A modified too, the faster you go in a modified, the better it handles. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
This is, the suspension needs the speed to work. I love driving a modified, but the racing itself, because you can kind of rub on each other and bang off wheels a little bit and not hop a wheel and wreck or get the right front tore off, is the factory stock division. The only thing I haven't driven over at Wall Stadium is a 4-cylinder. I never driven a 4-cylinder, so I couldn't really tell you about that.
But that's
But,
they're very comparable to even the factory stocks in that you can still rub and they run comparable lap times in reality.
Oh yeah,
So
I think the 4-cylinders are a little bit faster than what we are.
no, they can
Yeah.
be absolutely.
Yeah.
But it also kind of like what you were saying with the modified, the faster you go, just like if you think Formula One or IndyCar with that downforce, the faster you go, the more downforce you're going to get. I mean, it kind of works to your advantage to take a corner faster rather than slower.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I've heard people take modifieds. Oh, the car's doing this, car's doing that, and I hear people say, "Go faster." It'll turn. And then they go faster. The car turns.
All right.
I'll drive anything. I don't care. It's all the same to me.
I think they're all fun, but I don't think factory stocks get quite the credit because yes, they're a great show and they're fun. I mean, you can laugh at them. They're the best division to watch. But when you think about the poor guys in there, cranking the wheel left and right, just trying to keep that thing in a damn straight line, it's a different world in there too.
Yeah.
So I think people need to have respect for all of them. And yeah, we rag on the sportsmen, we do, but I will gladly try out the sportsman. But I think everybody should try a factory stock as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I agree.
all right. So you want the top 10 for that? For the
Sure.
factory stocks? Of course, our own Scott Riggleman gets the win. Very happy. And then we have Elliot Wall. How far was Elliot behind you?
I tell you what, Tim was even telling me, and it's in that video too. Elliot was right on my back bumper for a while. But about 6 to go, I started pulling away from him, and by the end of the race, I had about a 5-car length lead on him. And then from Elliot back to the third place car was a long way. We took off.
Okay. So third was Tom Ruszkowski. Then we had Brian O'Shea in fourth, AJ Jadecki, Billy Both, Doug Ashford, John Carpenter, Joe Monjo, Kevin Flores, and I'm going to throw in the top 11 here because we have Nick Catone, our sponsor, finishing 11th. And out of 18 cars, I mean, that it sounds like it was a great show. I heard from multiple people that factory stocks were, even with what I heard was a pretty exciting sportsman finish. A lot of people were still saying the factory stocks were the show to beat.
Yeah.
So,
It was a lot of fun. It was a fun race. I was glad I won because it is my 100th career victory, and I was glad I was able to get it at Wall Stadium. I got my 99th win at Bridgeport,
And, good.
and a lot of people were hoping that I could get the 100th win in front of my home crowd, and I was able to do that. And I tell you what, when I got out of that car, I got emotional because I got a really good round of applause, and I want to thank the fans for that. I mean, it felt good. Good getting out of that car and hearing the whole crowd cheer like that for me.
I was going to say, everybody cheered real. And I sit in my lawn chair, and I can see the racetrack. I know there was nobody there, so I could see the whole track. And I stood up when you came across the checker. They were like, "Oh, your brother won. You got up and stayed." I didn't get up because you won. I got up to see what the Twins were doing. They were down there jumping up and down, and they were all happy. And as for Scott always joked when he got his 100th win, he was going to retire. And we're walking out to the car, and Alexis goes, "Daddy." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Uncle Scott won his 100th race. Does that mean I get to drive the 09 now because he's retired?" Because she's dead set she's going to drive that car when she gets old enough. So I'm like, I don't know if Uncle Scott's going to retire. You got to wait at least another year or two before we.
I tell you what, for a brief second when I climbed out of the car, I almost announced my retirement in Victory Lane. But Josh, that car was so good. I got to drive it again. You know what I'm saying? Like
you didn't feel that Evel Knievel moment?
I'll put a different set of tires on it and I'll lose 0.2 of a second. But that night it was so good. I'm like, I can't retire.
I will never ever jump again. Well, Scott, congrats on your 100th career victory. I'm glad that it happened at Wall. I mean, I'm glad that it was the home track.
It was meant to be. It really was. And the crazy thing was, we were starting to joke, by Nancy counting the wins and having me at 99, it kind of turned into a 100 win jinx because I was leading at Bridgeport and my belts came off. So I didn't get the 100th win. I went to Baps Motor Speedway. I was leading there and I burned an ignition wire laying over on the header and burned up and shut the car off.
Oh.
I didn't win there. I go down to Florida. I blow up in 10 laps in practice in Florida. I go to opening night at Wall Stadium. I go to Turkey Derby. My car's good. I wasn't able to win. I go to opening night. My car's fast. I'm up front. I get a right front flat tire. Like the jinx was there, and then finally get that little bit of a jinx off my back.
That was like the Earnhart trying to win the 500.
Really meant to be. I came on a good night when there was a good crowd at my home track.
Well,
and the trophies were cool. Tim, did you see the trophies?
Yeah, they had like pistons on the top of them or something, right?
He won this cup?
We'll do a show and tell real quick.
Yeah, all right, go get it.
Wait, he won this cup? No, I was gonna say it reminds me of the whole the Earnhardt trying to win the Daytona 500 deal. Everything came against it. But I mean, I'm glad it finally happened. Like I said, I'm glad it happened at home for him. I gotta ask
it could happen between Scott and Elliott. Elliott's like our little brother, more to Scott. He's much more closer to Scott than he is me, but we grew up with him. My dad kept our race cars, up to Scott's first or second race car at Elliott's house. So we've been to have those two battle out for the win like that, and Scott's 100th, and the fans were. It's funny, like where J.C. Duvall, like where he sits with his group of people. That's like the factory stock 4-cylinder, like diehards. They all sit there and they
awesome.
cheer, and they were up on their feet the whole time cheering. It was cool to see.
And Nancy did a cool thing for me. That's why it took me a little time to get the trophy. She bought balloons, the 100, said 100, and she taped them to my trophy in the house. So my trophies had 100 and shiny silver balloons on them. So this is the trophy. That's the top of the trophy.
Oh, that's cool. That is really cool.
It's got pistons on it. And then the bottom part of the trophy has a big spark plug on it.
That is a massive spark plug.
Yeah.
Does it have a name of the company that built it on the bottom?
No, it doesn't.
That is a really nice trophy.
Yeah, it's Wall Stadium Speedway 2021 O'Shea Auto Repair Factory Stock Feature Winning Driver. So yeah, it was a cool trophy. I won on a cool night. I got my 100th win on a very cool night, and where the trophies were awesome. The crowd was good. The competition was good. It wasn't like an 8-car field, or anything like that. I earned it. So it was a good night. We talk about it. Some nights you have good nights at racetracks. Sometimes you have bad nights, and of course you have more bad nights than good nights. Saturday night was a good night for me.
Yeah. Well, congrats again, Scott. I mean, really happy for you. Maybe one day I'll get a win beyond a Consi race.
Yeah. One thing I didn't tell you when I talked to you, Scott, I guess I'll tell you on here. Tommy Mauser came over to me and he said to tell you congratulations, which means a lot because Tommy's a multi-time champion over there. And Dick Malsbury came over and told me to tell you congratulations. So.
That's cool. I did get a lot of congratulations on my phone. Just to let people know, I lost all the contacts on my phone, so a lot of the text messages I get, I wasn't sure who was sending it to me. But I got a lot of people on Facebook Messenger congratulating me, and that means a lot. I just want to thank everybody for that. I tell you what, Tommy Mauser, he's becoming quite the race chaser too, Tim. He's
yeah.
And he does good with the live feeds too. He goes to a lot of races. So if you want to check out Tommy Mauser on Facebook, he goes to a lot of racetracks and not just Asphalt too. He's been to Grandview. I think he went to 3 or 4 races this week.
Well, he raced both. He raced both Asphalt and dirt. So
yeah. So it was, he does a great job, and it's cool that he's still involved with our sport. All right, so moving on from me in the factory stock division. Next down the hill, we're the sportsmen.
Wait. How was Elliot's hot dog party after the?
I didn't go. Elliot's got a new sponsor. It's called Dave's Hot Dogs over at the Howell Bowling Alley. So he's been taking people to the bowling alley after the races on Saturday night, and they stay open late to 12:30. He did invite me and Nancy to go. He really wanted us to go, but I'm sponsored by the Ark. So me and Nancy went to the Ark for dinner afterwards and had dinner with Tony over there. And there's just me, Tony, and Maicha, his one waitress. We all sat down at a table and had a little something to eat and kind of celebrated my win. Everybody was asking me if I was going to have a big party for my 100th one. I said I already had a big party. We went all out. Me and Nancy split a cheeseburger without the bun at the Ark after the races. So.
One thing I was already asked in the grandstands if you were going to get 100th win T-shirts out. I told him I didn't know.
That's a good idea, actually.
I had a fan come up and ask me.
What would that be, 100 wins? That's not the silver anniversary, right? That's 25, right? What's 100 wins?
I don't. What is it, platinum?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, platinum.
Like bicentennial or something like that.
It's got to be something.
Yeah. I'll have to look at it. That's a good idea, Tim. Maybe I will do something like that. I'll talk to Elliot. Maybe we'll get 100 wins.
That I remember O'Shea has one of your mugs.
Yeah.
And as far as that hot dog place goes, me being a guy connoisseur of food like that, somebody that I know that lives in Howell has nothing to do with the races. He said by chance, this was before Elliot announced that he was having a party there. He told me he went to the hot dog place at the bowling alley. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I saw that they put a big sign on. He goes, I'm like, how good was it? He goes, you know how good it was? I had to change my T-shirt after I ate one. That's how good it was. So if you like a nice, messy hot dog, I guess that's the place to go.
That actually does sound pretty good.
I'll talk about maybe doing some 100 win T-shirts, maybe a picture of the car in Victory Lane with 100 wins.
I have people come up to me every week and ask, when are you going to get T-shirts made?
I had them made a few years ago.
Everybody,
It's
a pain in the ass, is what it is.
It really is. It's a lot of work, and then you want to charge people for them to try to. Because last time I had T-shirts made up, I spent about $1,800.
I was going to say it's $2,000 to get.
Yeah, and everybody's like, "Well, sell them for $20," and you can, but it's hard collecting money and giving out shirts while you're at the track and you're busy doing your stuff. Plus, there's some people you just can't charge them for them because they help you out. You got to give them the $20 T-shirt for free. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't charge them for it.
You pay for them, bring them to mom's house. I'll sell them. I ain't giving them.
That's a good idea.
I just like that we got through another episode where we happened to mention Eric Brennan, about doing the
hot dogs.
About doing the advertising for Catone, and then we ended up talking about hot dogs anyway. I mean, can't avoid it.
And to get the T-shirt, everybody wants hoodies. That's what that's like.
Make it real expensive.
Yeah, they're like $45 a piece.
Yeah.
What do you got to sell them for? $40 or something.
No,
Everybody wants hoodies. Everybody wants hoodies.
Yeah, I think we
T-shirt.
only had a
Guys.
couple specially made ones for the podcast. I'll talk to Ellie about getting some more for you guys.
All right, guys. That moves us on to the last feature of the night, which is the sportsman division. They did have a long race again, but it wasn't for wrecking. Someone literally leaked oil around the whole racetrack and just drove around for like 3 or 4 laps. So it took the track crew forever to get that cleaned up. My brother said it looked like Bristol. They had to lay so much speedy dry down on the track, with the dirt.
Yeah.
And then Tim, what happened after that?
It was so bad. It was so bad that everybody put their masks on. when they
even handy now it turned into a
myself included. I put my mask on because it was so dusty there. And then they let the guy come back out, and he rode around half the track again.
Yeah, Josh, after they get that track cleaned up, the guy came back out and leaked on the track again. They had to clean it up again. Oh, and that was all said and done. Tim, it was an exciting finish, right? There was 4 or 5 cars there battling for the win at the end.
Every race was a great race. Every race you could have thrown a blanket over the.
I heard it was bumper to bumper. Outside of that, that particular incident, I heard it was bumper to bumper up to the end. So
yeah, it was great.
They can do great racing. They can. They really can. It's just occasionally I don't know what happens.
Like I said in the beginning of this podcast, yes, there were a low car count, but all the good cars were there, and the people that caused the cautions per se weren't there. So there wasn't caution after caution after caution.
Right.
And they raced, and it got down. I don't remember everything about the whole race, but it came down with the DiTomaso kids and Michael Carr, and there was one other car I can't remember. Neil Rutt.
Yeah.
And Michael was from. I talked about Michael last week. Michael's gonna be one to have to deal with in that division. He's a great race car driver.
In the pack too, right?
Yeah. And they didn't have that car. It was still not handling to Michael's liking in the heat race and their time trials, whatever you want to call it. And they got it better for the feature, and he was able to run the 38 down, but he didn't have the car to go around him, and he couldn't get underneath of him. So he decided to about 4 or 5 laps ago, he was trying to push him into the corner so he upset the 38 so he could get underneath of him. And then on the last lap, he gave him a shot going into 3, and the 38 kid got sideways, but he held on to it, and Michael was able to get underneath of him, and the 33 went underneath Michael, and Neil Rutt was in the middle of all that. So then that's the way they crossed the line. It was a hell of a finish. Anybody that didn't stay for that finish, because a lot of people did leave after the oil down.
I mean, I don't blame them. I understand, but yeah.
We got out of there at a decent time, though, right, Tim? I think it was only 10 o'clock, right?
We were home by 9:50.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
We got out of there pretty early. It was an early night, Josh.
Well, it's kind of good putting the pressure on them, but okay, if we're gonna run you last, then maybe the pressure's on to not, have so many cautions, and if it works, then I'm all for it. But I think we've talked about it before. It's nice to have a rotation. Let everybody be the headliner. Let everybody be the last division just once in a while, just so they know what the other guys are going through. I mean, I can't tell you how many times Mike Tash and Eric Graham would be waiting on me because I was busy with the factory stock. They were done with their legends at after being the first feature. Like, oh, well, we want to go out to dinner or let's go eat, and I'm like, dude, I just finished my race.
Yeah,
you guys have been packed up for 2 hours.
That is nice. They're doing a little bit of a rotation. This way, you're not always the last division, and you get an early night yourself where you can get your car loaded up and get out of there at a decent time.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good to change it up for everybody. So,
all right. So that wraps up Wall Stadium for week number 2.
Well, you want the top 10 for that?
For the sportsman?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so we talked about the DiGianni Tommaso kids being up, in the front there. So Jared DiGianni Tommaso gets the win, followed by Mike Carr, then followed by Karsten DiGianni Tommaso, then Neil Rutt III, Jake Nelke, Kevin Davison, Rob Anderton, Ryan Fisher, Jimmy Wolcott, and Dave Bailey are your top 10. So I just want.
How many cars were there?
13.
13.
Got one thing we forgot to mention, and it was a concern of yours for last week for being a driver. you told me to keep my eye on it. The yellow and green lights did come on together.
Yeah, that
during,
happened twice to us in opening night. And
and it happened again during late stages of the Legend Car race.
The Legend Car race that happened in that too. Yeah,
Yeah.
it didn't happen in my race this time. We went pretty clean our race. But yeah, that's something that's got to get addressed. That's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's a way, like on those, on like a cassette player, where if you hit one button, all the other buttons come up. Like you can't hit two at once. If you could do that, like as soon as you hit the yellow, the green comes off.
I'll ask Bill Stockert when I see him Saturday what's going on with that.
Oh, that's right. I forgot he got involved on the official. Yeah, I forgot he got involved with that. And he's a good guy that you can trust with that stuff. So
yeah, he's a great flagger. He's doing a great job.
And he's because he's a racer, because he was a driver for so many years. He knows. I mean, if you talk to him like, "Hey, this is the issue I'm having," or can you? He'll talk to you, and he'll try to understand where you're coming from. And I think that's really important. Because you've had a lot of officials over the years, all over the place, different tracks that, they don't know what it's like on our end as a driver. So they're just like, no, you don't get it. Like, no, at least Stockard will listen to you. Be like, oh, I get, okay, yeah, no.
Plus, he loves racing, Josh. When I was down in Florida, I seen him at Daytona at the big track. I seen him at New Smyrna at the short track. He's been racing all his life. He's from Staten Island or Long Island. He's done demolition derbies. He's done enduros. He's done factory stocks. He's a racer, and now he's retired from the driving side and the competition side of it. And he moved over to flagging side, and he's doing a great job. And he's there every week. I'm glad we have him on our staff at Wall Stadium. All right, guys, that wraps up at Wall Stadium. Let's do a quick what have we learned?
Absolutely.
Go first?
All right.
Sure.
Tim, what did you learn today?
I learned that Scott's not retiring after his 100th win.
I learned that too.
I learned that he might be getting T-shirts made. And I learned that Larry Spencer likes to hump at Evergreen. He said something about how he likes to hump on going out of the corner there at Evergreen. So,
okay, Scott.
I learned that Evergreen has a big bag slide instead of a Ferris wheel like the Cup tracks do. I learned that the famous wooden bridge going into the Evergreen Speedway is now an asphalt bridge. And I learned that Tim likes bacon double cheeseburgers at the racetrack.
So the Evergreen Bridge went from wood to ass. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that all you got, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay. It's all right. So today I learned that we now have racing boots on the ground. I learned that Scott took longer than expected to get Larry off. I learned that Tim will dress as Pac-Man in turn 4. I learned that Eddie McCarthy needs a couple more inches. And I learned that Scott and Nancy hang out with Pips.
All right, guys. We had a great episode. I know it ran a little long, but we definitely want to get a little bit in with Evergreen and Wall Stadium this week. This weekend for my racing stuff, I think I'm going to race Grandview on Friday night with the Outlaw Enduro Series, and I'll be back at Wall Stadium Saturday night. There was a little... I do have a conflicting date on Saturday. I was debating if I was going to go to Bridgeport and race with their 8-cylinder, 4-cylinder division down there or race Wall. I think with Grandview racing on Friday night, I'll take my dirt car out there and run that Friday night and then return back to Wall on Saturday night. It was a great week of racing. I mean, Cup, Indy, everything. There's plenty of racing this weekend. We had a great racing weekend.
God, they're going to want me to film Friday night then, aren't they? I don't think I'll be able to get out there.
Take a look at the weather, Josh. It's as of right now, they're calling for rain on Friday night.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It's still really weak. If you can get out there, Josh, definitely come out there. That'd be cool if you can come out there and film us.
No, I'd like to, but I mean, I'm going to be working Friday most likely, and then with that rain, which I feel bad for them because they've had what 3
rain out there every year.
This would be like 3 rainouts in a row.
I know.
So I mean, I feel bad for them, but yeah, it is what it is. All right.
All right, guys. This wraps up episode 190 of the RPM podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Go to Wall.
Wash your hands, everybody.
Good night, everybody.